Game, where the bacon is always prepared properly.
My grand slam was supposed to be with sausage.
On 107.5, The Game.
Oh, the post early signing day aftermath. Kind of like post Christmas when you look around and there's Christmas wrapping paper scattered all over the floor. There's crumbs from whatever maybe breakfast quiche you were eating, just people strewn about trying to recover from a wild, interesting day, and one that I think if you were a South Carolina fan, you were actually pretty happy with. You should have been pretty happy with. Some positive momentum for South Carolina that really got started on Monday evening with Spencer Rattler and Austin Stogner. Really kind of continued into yesterday. Yeah, there was the Jayshon Barham news, certainly not what you wanted, but South Carolina signs a pretty good class that will need some development, but a lot of guys that I think South Carolina fans can be very, very happy with. So a very good morning for South Carolina fans, and then it turned into kind of an entertaining day. Some transfer portal news. The transfer portal giveth, the transfer portal taketh away, and that is exactly what happened as Jason Brown announces his intentions to enter the transfer portal. I don't know if we were all shocked by that. I think, as I said yesterday, doing the 3-hour show with Chris and Wes, as that news broke and we discussed it, you should thank Jason Brown for his time at South Carolina. Without him, South Carolina's probably not bowl eligible. I don't know if they beat Florida and Auburn, but I think we all expected this with the Rattler news that he was coming. Jason Brown having just 1 year of eligibility left. But we'll talk about that this morning because it pertains to the still current 2021 season and what it means for South Carolina heading to the Dukes Mayo Bowl against North Carolina 2 weeks from today. At about this time, I'll be gearing up with Heath Klein to do the pregame show, and that is getting closer and closer and closer. So we'll talk about that this morning. You also had JJ Enagbare announcing his decision to forego the bowl game, go ahead and enter the NFL draft, start preparing. I don't think we were surprised by that. Patrick, maybe that it took this long. Does that seem fair that it took this long for JJ Enagbare to make his announcement? Because I wasn't surprised he was opting out. I wasn't surprised that he decided to not play in the bowl game.
Because I don't really know what he would have been waiting for. I mean, when did they start practice? Bowl practice? It was this week. Monday. So did he practice on Monday?
No, he'd not been out there according to Shane Beamer.
So I don't really, I don't know. Maybe he's just waiting to figure everything out, but I can't imagine that he didn't know right after the last game or before the last game, I'm going pro, and maybe was deciding whether or not he wanted to play in the bowl game, but it would have seemed like that decision was made a while ago, and I don't know, maybe wait for after signing day. I can't imagine any reason to have waited this long, but you never know. He could have been just making up his mind.
Yeah, maybe there was something there, maybe an agent, or who knows. But again, I don't think that what happened yesterday was surprising news on any front for South Carolina regarding Jason Brown, or JJ Enagbare. But we'll certainly talk about that this morning because it does pertain now to South Carolina and how it affects the game against North Carolina. So we'll get into that a little bit. And then you got two mega stories yesterday. One, as it pertained to National Signing Day. I'm kind of interested to hear people's opinions on Travis Hunter, the number one overall player in the country, decommitting from Florida State and going to Jackson State to play with Deion Sanders, and a very lucrative name, image, likeness deal that came about because of that. And Patrick, again, I get it. There's going to be people this morning who are going to say, the Jayshon Barham news was it ruined my day. It was detrimental. I certainly, and I think we'll get into that a little bit, because I think in years past in recruiting, when a Jayshon Barham would decommit and move on to another school, I understand what you lost. Now with the transfer portal, I don't know if it's the same deal. So we'll talk about that, but I don't think that was the big news yesterday, and it shouldn't have brought South Carolina fans down. It could have been a lot worse. You could have lost a Travis Hunter, the number one player overall, to Jackson State, and Deion Sanders, your former alumni And that
who
obviously,
wanted to coach at your school and you didn't hire him.
yeah, well, and again, that obviously the thing about that is what it means both from a recruiting standpoint moving forward. Is this going to be the new norm? It's kind of interesting. What was your take on Travis Hunter yesterday?
I guess not as surprised as I should have been. Like Dion has been really on this trajectory, the kind of guys he's pulling, and there were rumors that he was going to get. I don't know if Zach Evans has made a decision, the running back from TCU, but there were rumors that he was going to go to Jackson State because he was lobbying for Dion to get the TCU job. I mean, it's not like every school can just go out there and hire a Hall of Fame coach because I mean, there's other HBCUs that did. I think where's Eddie George? He's at Tennessee State, I
Right.
think.
Mhm.
So it's not like you can just hire a Hall of Famer or a big name. Dion is different. And would I have been surprised if it was maybe a 5-star quarterback? Maybe, but a 5-star corner going to play for Dion, the kid's gonna absolutely dominate in that conference. He's gonna probably lead the conference in interceptions from day one. He's gonna start from day one, and he's gonna prove it's cool for him just saying like, look, there's no reason that this isn't a positive pathway for any
Right.
player. I mean, you can get drafted from here. You can have all the success in the world from here. So somebody's got to take the dive first or take the plunge first and be the guy that starts the trend. So I wouldn't be surprised at all if Dion just keeps racking up big time recruits because the videos too, the post game videos, they have superstars on the sideline for every game. Like it looks like an extremely fun environment there at Jackson State. So I don't fault the kid at all. I think it's really cool, actually.
Is this the last year of Deion Sanders at Jackson State? Is this the thing where now next year a Power Five conference or a team, a big name team says, "All right, you know what? You get your chance. We're bringing you in." Is this
I don't know what he would jump at. I don't know what job he would take. He's not going to take any Power 5 job.
was he
Like,
legitimately interested in
I don't
TCU?
know.
Was that his? You heard his name thrown around
Yeah.
for it. I don't know if he was legitimately interested. I'm kind of
TCU could maybe be a job I could see him taking just because I mean, Dallas, he played in Dallas and I'm sure has some connections to Dallas. But if just a random, if Purdue, if Jeff Brom got hired to another job and Purdue wanted to hire Deion Sanders, I can't imagine him taking that job.
you'll be able to see Deion Sanders and Jackson State this weekend. We get some bowl games going tomorrow afternoon, but noon on ABC. Our own South Carolina State will take on Jackson State in the Cricket Celebration Bowl over in Atlanta. Our good buddy on the Buford Lending live stream, Carlton, says he's getting ready to travel over to Atlanta for the Celebration Bowl. So you can spend some time this weekend checking out Deion Sanders and Jackson State. Last I saw, they were about an 11.5-point favorite over Buddy Pugh's Bulldogs this coming Saturday. So we'll get into that a little bit more. The Travis Hunter news certainly eye-opening is what I would say from a recruiting standpoint. I do agree with you, Patrick. It does continue to show. I think the NFL more maybe. I know you can use Ja Morant in the NBA. I don't know about Major League Baseball. I would guess. I mean, high school Bryce Harper. But in the NFL, they find talent. They're
Yeah,
going to
always,
find
yeah.
talent. You know, we've seen plenty of good players come out of South Carolina State that have gone on to very good NFL careers. So yeah, I think if you're Travis Hunter, you really are now the poster child for, hey, you don't have to go play at the mega program to end up being a big time NFL prospect. Obviously, it's happened before. Again, Steve McNair from Alcorn State was in the Heisman discussion back in, like, I guess that was the 90s now, and had an incredible NFL career, fantastic NFL career, and went on to do great things. And it wasn't at a Power 5 or even an FBS program. So it's been done before. It's not like Travis Hunter is this trailblazer that is brand.
Well,
This is a brand new experiment. It is, I think, unique because of the way we cover signing day and the fact that, yes, he is the number one recruit, or was the number one recruit. I guess we moved past him now to Arch Manning. Arch Manning, you're now on the clock as the number one recruit in the country, given that we're starting the next recruiting cycle. But
he is a trailblazer in the sense that they never land 5 stars.
oh, that's true.
I assume no 5 stars ever go into an HBCU.
I would assume.
So
Yeah.
it's big time in that regard. And being a 5-star, he kind of does have the luxury for this not affecting his draft stock in any way, because the NFL does also know where everyone is ranked as recruits. Like, he's already on NFL radars. There's going to be scouts that are looking 2-3 years down the road because you're planning out your roster going forward. Like, hey, we need to re-sign a corner, but what's the corner class going to look like in a couple years? And they'll say, well, we already have 6 guys that we think are going to have top 50 grades. So like, things like that happen. And when you're a 5-star number 1 player in the country, people are always going to have an eye out for you. So he will be okay in that regard. Maybe not everyone has that opportunity. If you have an offer from South Carolina and you have an offer from South Carolina State and you have the chance to go to South Carolina over you want to go to South Carolina over South Carolina State if you're like a 3-star and nobody knows who you are. Because if you get on the field at South Carolina and start playing, there's going to be a lot more film available and you're going to play against better competition, and it's just going to be easier to get drafted if you actually get yourself on the field. But a kid with those accolades coming in, it doesn't matter. He's going to have eyeballs on him no matter what.
Well, let's be honest. He's not going to Jackson State because of Jackson State. He's going because of Deion Sanders.
Yeah.
Like you said, with I think Travis Shaw, was a top 5 prospect, was the number 1 defensive tackle prospect in the country, chose North Carolina, but he had North Carolina A&T in his top 4 there when he made his commitment. How serious was North Carolina A&T as a suitor? Again, he had him in his top 4. Was he showing some respect, or was he legitimately considering him? Maybe if Deion Sanders is at North Carolina A&T, Travis Shaw goes there.
Mhm.
I think that's the other part. Not South Carolina State, an FCS program. I guess you can go through others. They're not going to start attracting 5-star recruits. This is a Deion Sanders thing. And as you mentioned, Deion's used his connections with other celebrities, other superstars to come down and hang out and be a part of that program and make it a fun environment. So,
but the reason I don't necessarily think that he's just going to jump at the first Power 5 school that offers him is because he's trying to make it about more than Jackson State. He's trying to make it about all HBCUs, because he was doing things like, hey, let me write a check to every school to get every kid in this conference their name on the back of their jersey, because there's schools that can't even afford to do that because they just don't have the budgets that other schools have. And he's trying to make a whole movement of kids not looking at HBCUs as not as great of an avenue for potential pro success. So I think maybe the fact that kid had North Carolina A&T in his finalists. There's a basketball player that went to, I think, Hampton. Was it Thon Maker's brother? I'll have to look this. I think Thon Maker's brother was a McDonald's All-American.
Went to Maker or McCord.
Yeah. Went to an HBCU. So there is like a little bit more of a movement. It's probably Deion has the biggest hand in it being a movement at all, but potentially I think what he hopes is that it'll be more than just Jackson State attracting players like this.
803-404-6100. That is how you can join us this morning. Myself and Patrick Perrett. Jen Jensen out, so Patrick is back behind the board. If you call in, he doesn't have time to talk. He's talking to you and I on the radio. So if you're going to give us a shout this morning, just name what you want to talk about. Patrick's not back there to have his own personal conversation with you. So give him name, give him what you want to talk about. We'll get you on air. 803-404-6100 is how you can join us. We are also available via the Cool Care Heating and Air text line. A couple of you have already weighed in there. Ray, our good buddy from Bowman, the big Clemson fan, gives me some opinions of Spencer Rattler, tells me that South Carolina is not going to play well in the bowl game. But then his best point, he says this is where college football is going. Terrible. Portal and name, image, likeness is going to ruin college football. Welcome to free agency. And Raj weighs in, our buddy Anonymous Raj. Patrick, the other storyline of yesterday, Urban Meyer. Holy cow. I had him finishing one season. I had one season. He would get through one season. I still got it was the under of one season. 13 games as Jacksonville parts way with Urban Meyer, and it's going to be interesting to see where they go. It's going to be interesting to see where he goes. Is he finally done with the coaching of football? I guess when you run around kicking your kicker in pre-games. I thought that was going to be our story this morning when I saw that pop out. I thought we were going to joke about that. It escalated to the point he's no longer employed. And Jacksonville just, man, I said this a while back. I didn't think Trevor Lawrence would succeed in the NFL, not because of lack of talent, but because he's going to a bad situation. And now it'll be interesting to see who Jacksonville hires to tutor Trevor Lawrence and build that organization back to being respectable, because right now they are the laughing stock of the NFL.
They are a joke, and I mean it's too late for us to jump into Urban Meyer right now. This is gonna need its own long segment. But do you know who the only other coach?
I do. Well, I've heard it this morning. I've seen it. Yeah.
So the only other coach to not even make it out of his first season as a head coach in the NFL. There have been plenty that got fired after one season. I think most recently was Vance Joseph from Arizona, but Bobby Petrino, the last coach to get fired before his first season concluded. And I mean, Urban Meyer, just disastrous start from the get-go. And really, the last couple of weeks, there was only one way this thing was going to end up. And I'm a little surprised that Urban didn't just quit like he always does, so that he didn't end up getting fired. This has got to be the first time he's ever been fired.
I think he thought he could make it through
the end of the year.
I really think I think we all saw the writing on the wall very early. I forget when the incident in Ohio happened, and that obviously brought a firestorm upon him and the organization. You're right. We'll talk about that. We'll get into that this morning here a little bit. And again, a lot to cover. We'll get back into that Jason Brown transfer portal stuff.
Because somebody just texted about this. The NIL, were you talking about the Barstool deal, the NIL deal? Because that's fake news.
Yeah. Well, we'll get back in. There's a lot to cover.
Anyone saying that about Travis Hunter, that's you got because that's fake news.
Yeah, there's a lot to cover this morning. We will get into all of that. Again, you've got the Travis Hunter news. We will, from a South Carolina standpoint, look back at the signing day that was. South Carolina has received all their national letters of intent. Shane Beamer speaking with the media last night. Again, I think if you're a South Carolina fan, there's reason to be positive. You didn't, the Jayshon Barham thing didn't go your way yesterday, but you know what? I think there's a lot of reasons to be positive this morning. If you want to weigh in, again, 803-404-6100 is how you can do that. If you want to hop on the Buford Lending live stream, you can go to YouTube and search 107.5 for the game. Carlton is in this morning. Of course, he's getting ready to head over to Atlanta for the Celebration Bowl between South Carolina State and Jackson State. Craig, RL, DC, all offering opinions. You got Robin, I've seen in there, DeCord, Anthony and LeVar. It's their own little chat room where they have their own college football discussion. You can join it as well. Go to 107.5 The Game's YouTube page and subscribe and join us on the Buford Lending live stream. You can also go to our Facebook page and subscribe and join in there. It's like listening to us and having your own college football discussion as well. So a lot of ways to interact. Patrick Perrett, myself, we're going to get you through a Thursday morning. My Lord, there's a lot for us to discuss this morning, and we're certainly going to do that. No need for Christmas discussion this morning with so much sports on the table. We'll do that. You're listening to the early game on 107.5 The Game.
Dan Patrick. Weekdays 9 until noon on 107.5.
Busy day yesterday. Did this show handle the early signing day special with the Gamecock Central boys, Wes Mitchell and Chris Clark. Had to do some other things, watch the Shane Beamer press conference. You get it. There was a lot going on last night, but I was ready. I was ready to put that sleep number setting on 55, hop into bed, and get a fantastic night of sleep, just like I do each and every night with a sleep number bed. And I'm telling you what, if you haven't made the switch today, the Christmas season is the time to reward yourself by switching to Sleep Number. You can bring proven quality sleep home for the holidays. Save up to $500 on select Sleep Number 360 smart beds during Sleep Number's holiday savings event. There is special financing for a limited time, subject to credit approval. Minimum monthly payments required. See sleepnumber.com or visit a store for details. 2 stores to choose from, one in Irmo on Harbison Boulevard across from Buffalo Wild Wings, the other in Columbia, 2 Notch Road across from Sand Hills Mall. Again, you can visit them on the web, sleepnumber.com. Right now, you can save $500 on a select Sleep Number 360 smart bed during Sleep Number's holiday savings event. There is special financing available too. Now is the time. Don't wait any longer. Make the switch to Sleep Number today and find out what a great night of sleep is truly like. All right, let me see here. I got to do a few things, put out a tweet.
Professionals install new gutters and downspouts to drain water away from your house. Protect your home. Call the guys in the Powder Blue.
Good in there?
791-7147.
Yeah, we're good.
791-7747.
All right. Let's see. Got that.
My speakers and headphones keep going out in the air.
I said before, block heartburn at the source.
That's no good. Kelly, we'll get into that. That's a good way to start the next segment. We'll go through a little bit of recruiting from yesterday. Let me see here. Get our little banner up.
Get yourself a Samsung Galaxy Z Flip 3 5G, a phone that folds in half.
I mean, there should definitely not be an echo, Trey. There's no reason there would be an echo. Unless you're just hearing the speaker in my head, in my overhead, but
They might be hearing it in here, too.
I can turn it down a little bit, but we do need that to be playing. We need to know when we're coming back. Yeah, so that's all it was.
Yeah, I'm trying to.
Thank you, Kelly. That's right. You guys can miss me next week.
You did not miss me. That's an ugly dog you have then. I had to look and see what that was.
You guys can miss me on Tuesday and Wednesday. I guess we should give you guys the first warning, the programming note. Monday to Wednesday next week. That's the schedule.
Yeah, Monday to Wednesday.
We're off the 23rd and 24th. Whole station.
Yeah, yep. Wednesday.
Sorry for everyone.
Thursday and Friday. Thursday and Friday we're out.
Yeah. Sorry for everyone that works on the 23rd. I have to work my other job on the 23rd, so. You can re-listen to an old episode of the early game on the live stream.
You can go back and watch. Yeah, save this. This is going to be a lot of sports talk today. A lot of sports talk. Oh, when I get a chance, I got to turn the channel. Patrick's not in here with me today, so I've got NBC Universal on. See if I can listen here. Got the Dunkin' Donuts this morning. The peppermint mocha. Not as thrilled with that as I have been in the past. Oh, it's on ESPN.
Thanks, Kelly. Yeah, I think there was some scheduling issues for Thursday as well. But I'm going to be here Monday, and that's it. Next week. I'll still be around, but it's a big week at the other job.
Sure. Yeah. Well, I go to Dunkin'. Yeah. Let's see here. What do we got here? I go to the Dunkin' on 378, right across from the Lowe's Foods in Lexington. They've done a better job of being open. I went with the peppermint mocha latte this morning. I wanted the other one, the white chocolate crunch or whatever they had, but they said it was discontinued. And then, we won't. We'll save the Christmas music talk and movie talk and all that for next week. All right.
Back to the early game on 107.5 The Game.
803-404-6100. How you can join us this morning. Cool Care Heating and Air text line or the Love Chevrolet phone lines. Couple opinions coming in this morning on the Cool Care Heating and Air text line. Dennis says the Hunter kid is going to Jackson State because of the NIL deal. He'll be there 1 year and then find a better deal. No, as of right now, there is no name, image, likeness deal. There was a lot of rumors yesterday that, what was it, Patrick? Barstool Sports was
because Deion does a show there, is employed by Barstool Sports, and it was salty Florida State fans that said Barstool's giving Travis Hunter $1 million to come to Jackson State. It was just not true. So everyone got there.
Yeah, he went there. He went there because of Deion Sanders, and Patrick makes a good point. If look. Deion has made a commitment to Jackson State. Does that mean that he'll stick it out? I think Deion will wait it out for Florida State. I think that's the job he would like. And whatever happens with Mike Norvell and whatever the Seminoles do there, they're not in a position. I don't think, barring Norvell completely falling apart in 2022, I think you'll see Deion stick it out at Jackson State and try and continue to lift that program, that conference up and do everything he can. But we'll see what happens. And again, Travis Hunter, it's not going to end up hurting his draft stock one bit. South Carolina yesterday, again, very solid recruiting class. Was it a top 25 class? No, it did not end up being a top 25 class at the end. But as Kelly says on the Buford Lending live stream, I know for me, I am more than happy with our signing class. After the state of this program the last 5 years, I feel like this was a great class, and things are only going to get better with Coach Beamer. I hope we look back in 5 years and say, remember his first class, and know that was the start of something great here. 803-404-6100. Let's get out to the Love Chevy phone lines, Patrick. Daniel is up first on recruiting. Daniel, how you doing this morning?
Hey, I'm good. How about you guys?
Doing good.
Good. Hey, I just wanted to talk about recruiting real quick. I know from listening to you guys and following a little bit, I know, South Carolina had a pretty good early signing period, and I would say with your transfers, you guys definitely did well. And as an Auburn fan, I was very happy with the moves that we got on Wednesday. But I was curious what y'all's biggest surprise was within the SEC, because I'll say for myself, I was checking Twitter late Wednesday, and when I saw Missouri got the number 10 class, I couldn't believe that. I'm just curious what y'all's biggest surprise was within the SEC from early signing period.
Yeah, thank you for the phone call. Yeah, to break it down for you here is I pull up rivals as well. According to 24/7 Sports, Texas A&M ends up with the number one overall recruiting class, topping Alabama. Texas A&M with 4 5-stars and 19 4-stars yesterday.
They have 3 of the top 10 tight ends in the country. And just looking at the top 10 players, A&M has number 2 committed, number 5 committed, number 8 committed, and it also shows 100% crystal balls for number 6 and 7.
Yeah.
So they could end up with 5 of the top 10 players in the country.
Yeah, Texas A&M. I'm with Daniel on that. His point, Kentucky. This is, again, I'll switch over to rivals in just a minute and tell you that too. At the end of the day, according to 24/7 Sports, Kentucky finishes with the number 11 class, Missouri with the number 12 class. Yeah, Patrick, when you look at Kentucky and Missouri finishing ahead of Tennessee, finishing ahead of Auburn, finishing ahead of LSU, obviously throw South Carolina in that mix. South Carolina with the number 23 class, according to 24/7 Sports. Yeah, that was surprising, but the way Texas A&M finished, Patrick, the deal that Jimbo Fisher has, you got to expect that the pressure on him is going to ramp up. Rivals.com has Alabama with the number 1 class, Texas A&M with the number 2 class, separated by about 70 points. A very, very, very close there. And Georgia had the number 3 class and was only about 85 points. Georgia, Texas A&M, and Alabama, the absolute lights out classes of the year.
Alabama just crushing it in the transfer portal again. They got Eli Ricks from LSU, which was really surprising. You rarely see the sort of rival to rival transfer like that. And Eli Ricks seemed like he was going to be going to Southern Cal or there were a couple of schools that he was rumored to go to. I know, I think Buckeye Eric on the text line really thought he was going to be going to Ohio State too, but
Mhm.
the rich get richer at Alabama.
Kentucky with the number 10 class on rivals.com. Again, an incredibly good class for Kentucky. Missouri finished at 18 there. South Carolina with the number 21 class, according to rivals.com. We'll continue talking about that class. Back out to the Love Chevrolet phone lines. Gamecock Lucas is up next. How you doing this morning?
I'm doing pretty good. I think our recruiting is doing a lot better with Beamer here. I mean, we haven't heard this in a while with all the new quarterbacks coming in, the linebackers, DBs. You know, I'm glad the one DB showed who he was, so we didn't have that in the locker room. But I think we are doing great on our recruiting, and I think Beamer will be a coach, one of the better coaches in South Carolina to be recognized.
Yeah, linebacker, Barham. Yeah. Yeah,
He's
look,
done pretty good this year.
I appreciate the phone call. Yeah, here's South Carolina. This class very similar. Statistically speaking, if you go by the numbers, if you want to go back, I did this last night. If you throw last year out, last year was the anomaly because South Carolina only signed about 7 players in the early signing day. This class is a little bit behind what Will Muschamp typically signed. It's a little bit lower rated class, but for South Carolina, and this is where Steve Spurrier excelled because Steve Spurrier's classes weren't these incredible classes. He had one really, really great class. That was the Garcia class, one really great class. But at South Carolina right now, you have to have coaches, Patrick, that develop players. There are quality players in this class. There are some very good football players in this class, but it comes down to guys, whoever the offensive line coach is, Greg Adkins, developing Ryan Brubaker and Kason Henry and Grayson Maines. It comes down to Clayton White developing a Stone Blanton and a Donovan Westmoreland if he plays linebacker, and Nicky Eamon Moore. I said it perfectly yesterday.
Eamon Worry?
He was the one that I got yesterday. I didn't get anybody else's name correct. I got his correct yesterday, which
because you practiced and you got yourself ready for it.
Yeah, he was the one I got correct all day. Threw Chris and Wes completely off. But for South Carolina, you got some really good players, but now you have to develop them. And that's for a while. That's going to be the storyline for South Carolina and how this program returns. You go back, Eric Norwood, DJ Swearinger, Devin Taylor, throw Connor Shaw in the mix. These weren't elite level recruits that everybody was fighting over. You beat, at that time, a questionable Tennessee program for Swearinger. You beat Georgia Tech and West Virginia for Connor Shaw. You beat Virginia Tech for Devin Taylor. You beat good programs, but Brad Lawing and yes, I know he's not necessarily the favorite name around here, but Lorenzo Ward is a defensive backs coach, and G.A. Mangus and Steve Spurrier as quarterback coaches. They developed those guys. And South Carolina landed, I thought, a very good class yesterday. I think if you're a South Carolina fan, you should be very happy about the guys that were brought in. But now it's on Jimmy Lindsey to develop some of these defensive linemen, DeAndre Martin yesterday and Felix Hickson. Some of these guys you brought in, they have to be developed. I just mentioned the offensive lineman. I like Landon Sampson. Justin Stepp's got to continue to develop him.
Well, not just develop them. I mean, you need to put them in positions to be successful because Will Muschamp developed players. We talked about it. Like, it was weird how many players he put in the NFL draft without a ton of success on the field. And South Carolina, yeah, you need to develop these recruits, especially some of the positions of importance and positions that take a while, like offensive line, where they need to build their bodies up first. But you have talented players. I mean, you don't need to develop Spencer Rattler too much more because he's already developed, but you need to put him in a position to be successful. I mean, Nick Muse was developed and regressed statistically last year because he wasn't put in the right positions. Kevin Harris had 1,000 yards in 10 games, was developed, and the run game just wasn't working last year. So it's more than just develop. I mean, you just need to find ways to put your players in positions to be successful because that seemed to be an odd situation last year where there's just a lot of great players for South Carolina that have been established really not doing too much.
Yeah, and that's part. You're exactly right. That's part of it is not just player development, but also scheme. I mean, there's some coaching, and that's what South Carolina is going to have to continue to do with certain players and how they can improve this football program and continue to take steps forward. This year was a big step forward. Nobody should be able to argue that going 6-6 with this team wasn't a big step forward. They've got a great opportunity, and we'll talk about that given the news yesterday with Jason Brown, with JJ Enagbare, and what's going on. But yesterday was a good day for South Carolina, and we'll kind of continue to see. Richard on the Cool Care Heating and Air text line asks, if you could count the transfers in this year's South Carolina class, how would we rank? I think if you were giving them their recruiting ranking, South Carolina would probably be around 13 or 14 is my guess. It's a points-based system. It's a weird. I never liked it. I had to do it for basketball. And I always thought it was the strangest thing ever when I was working for 24/7 Sports and ESPN. But if you factored in a 5-star quarterback and a 4-star tight end into the mix and you factored in their points, South Carolina would end up with a top 15 class without a doubt. I think it would be, judging on what I've seen in the past by the points and knowing the numbers, it would probably be in between, I'd say 12 to 13, just based on what I'm looking at. South Carolina, I'm looking at 24/7 Sports, Richard. South Carolina's at 210 points. They'd have to get 28 points to get into the top 10. It'd be pretty close, actually, with Rattler being a 5-star quarterback. So, yeah, you'd have them inside, I'd say, the top 13 if you factored in the 2 transfers. 803-404-6100. Patrick, let's take one more on the Love Chevy phone lines. Robert is up next, wanting to weigh in on Travis Hunter. How you doing this morning, Robert?
I'm doing all right, and you?
Doing good.
I just wanted to make a comment. I'm not sure when you guys say that he's going to Jackson State for Deion Sanders. If you're saying the same thing, I'm believing that maybe the young man decided to go to Jackson State with Deion is because maybe he feels that, or Deion maybe convinced him that he could actually teach him how to play that position, maybe to the level that Deion played it when he was, in the pros. And I feel like maybe that's one of the reasons why he maybe chose Jackson State.
Yeah, I'll be honest with you, Robert, and thank you for the phone call. I don't know how Deion is as a developmental coach. I know he's done high school and he's run an academy, so I would assume that I've just never paid attention and never really heard anybody. But no, I think that's part of the point there is, Patrick, would you agree? Do you know much about Deion as just a developmental coach, like in terms of develop? I have zero. I know he brings charisma. Obviously, we know he brings flair and energy to the sideline, but just in talking about pure coaching, he did it for he developed a high school, built a high school basically in the Dallas area, and then his run I think before that was running an academy or running kind of an athlete's arena type deal.
I don't know specifically. I don't know what his track record is, but I know that what Robert just said is accurate because last year they landed the top transfer cornerback in the country who said exactly the same thing. I want to learn from Deion Sanders. He's the greatest cornerback of all time. And so now you're going to pair Travis Hunter with his name is Dejon Warren, who was from Lackawanna Community College, the number 1 transfer corner or the number 1 graduate JUCO corner last year. So that's 2 kids that both basically said, yeah, we want to change the narrative on HBCUs, playing at HBCUs, and we want to learn from the greatest corner of all time. So that's 100% part of the reason.
Yeah, I'm with Robert, and I think that's part of it. Yeah, if it was, name another.
That's why I said in the first. I'd be more surprised if it was a 5-star quarterback going to play for Deion, right. But a 5-star corner, that's everything you could ask for.
Yeah, 803-404-6100. Again, we will get into more of your questions regarding the signing day. I see Hugh, Gene, Angie all weighing in on the Cool Care Heating and Air text line. We will get into those. We'll continue rolling along. Plenty to talk about this morning, December 16th, a Thursday morning, 2 weeks away from South Carolina's bowl game. We definitely need to get into that as well. You're listening to the early game on 107.5 The Game.
Live, local, and free. That's how we do sports. 107.5 the game. Feel free to call and complain if you wish.
You should call that radio station and let him have it.
Remember, we are free of charge, after all.
Proper term is sticker shock. That is what happens when you arrive at a dealership. You look at the price of a car and you're shocked. You didn't realize all the add-ons that particular dealership was adding to the price of their cars to take advantage of customers during this time of high demand and low supply. But you will not find that at Love Chevrolet, I-26 in Harbison between Lowe's and Frankie's Fun Park. That's right. Right now, it's still going on. High demand, low supply. But at Love Chevrolet, they're not taking advantage of their customers with outrageous tack-on prices, raising the price of their vehicles. Nope. It is business as usual for the great folks at Love Chevrolet. They've been doing it since they opened the doors over 60 years ago, and they continue to do it the right way. You always hear me talk about the trust, the belief, the respect I have for the sales staff, how I know when I come on the lot, they're going to take care of me. They're not going to lead me astray. They're going to tell me the truth. They're going to tell me how a vehicle helps my everyday commute, not just the fun trips I take to the beach and to tailgate, but the part where I have to take the kids to soccer, the daughter to cheer, something like that. That's the reason I respect Love Chevrolet. But right now, again, high demand, low supply. They're not adding extra add-ons to the price of their new cars to take advantage of customers. Go visit Love Chevrolet for yourself and find out what I'm talking about. I-26 in Harbison between Lowe's and Frankie's Fun Park. You can always visit them on the web, lovechevy.com. Right now, they'll always treat you with the utmost respect and integrity. That's why Love Chevrolet has been the #1 volume Chevy dealer since they opened their doors 60 years ago. Go visit Love Chevrolet today and find out what I'm talking about. I-26 in Harbison between Lowe's and Frankie's Fun Park, or on the web, lovechevy.com. Get out to Love Chevrolet and find new roads. Yeah, Robin, I'm not sure I like this peppermint mocha. I really, they closed this Starbucks right down the road from us. The Starbucks in the Vista, they closed it, and I really could have gone for one of their peppermint mochas this morning. Their hot peppermint mochas, but I don't know if the Starbucks in Lexington is open at 5 a.m. I guess let's look that up. See, the one that I'm looking at. Yeah, the one I'm looking at opens at 5:30, so I'd have to be there to be here on time. I'd have to be there right at 5:30, roughly. It's not it's not impossible for me to make it by that Starbucks in Lexington. Look at Craig. Love Buick GMC. So much to talk about this morning. Yeah, we'll get in. A couple people are asking about the Barham.
Barham.
It doesn't matter at this point. It doesn't matter how we say it. I thought we were going to break our boy Ray yesterday. He was on a record number of text messages from 6 to 12. I actually became a little slightly concerned about him.
Yeah, well, Clemson had a signing day yesterday too.
I don't think he was aware of that.
Back to the early game on 107.5 The Game.
(803-404-6100) is how you can join us this morning. Also want to remind you we are partnering with the American Red Cross to help lessen the severe blood shortage in South Carolina. There will be a blood drive Thursday, December 30th. The drive will be held at the American Red Cross, located at 2751 Bull Street in Columbia, from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. All donors will receive an exclusive Red Cross t-shirt. Sign up online at redcrossblood.org and enter the sponsor code Cumulus Cares. Again, that will be a American Red Cross blood drive on Thursday, December 30th. You can go visit them, 2751 Bull Street in Columbia, 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. Sign up online, redcrossblood.org, and enter the sponsorship code Cumulus Cares. 803-404-6100. Angie weighs in on the Cool Care Heating and Air text line. Says, honestly, haven't paid attention to early signing in many years. Thank you, Shane, and your awesome staff for all your hard work in recruiting. So exciting to see these young men believe in our program, this coaching staff, and the process. Welcome home, y'all. Can't wait to cheer on each and every one of you guys. Now let's pack the stands on December 30th. Gamecock fans, go Cox. Patrick, that'll be what we kind of move into in the next hour. Obviously, there was a great day for signing South Carolina. You landed a couple players. Joey on the Buford Lending live stream adds that he hopes Braden Davis gets developed early. Yeah, the quarterback position will now be very interesting. South Carolina losing Jason Brown, who, Patrick, I thought for South Carolina to be competitive in this bowl game, and I'm not sure what I think now, Jason Brown would need to have a good game. I thought he would be the starter. Now it'll be Zeb Nolan as Jason Brown enters the transfer portal, and we'll talk more about this in the next hour. But certainly from an offensive standpoint, you now are missing Jason Brown, who was a spark late in the season, winning those games over Florida and Auburn. You're also missing now Zaquandre White, who was a spark late in the season in those games. It's going to be interesting to see Zeb Nolan, Kevin Harrison, Marshawn Lloyd, and what offensive game plan Marcus Satterfield can put together.
It's really not going to be easy. And if we're betting on it, are we going to see Colton Gauthier in the bowl game?
I don't think so, but I would like to. I would like to. I would like to see him get some snaps. He's not going to lose his red shirt. I'm not asking him to go out and win the game or play a whole half or quarter or anything like that. But yeah, I think it would be interesting to see him just get a few live reps against the North Carolina defense.
Has Zeb taken every snap in any game this year? He's appeared in a handful, but I feel like we've seen multiple quarterbacks in every.
East Carolina, right?
East Carolina is the one game he took every snap.
I think maybe Joyner might have taken a Wildcat snap here or there, but in terms of pure quarterback play, I think that would be the one.
Okay. Well, yeah, I don't know. I mean, I guess you hope that he takes every snap in this game, because that means South Carolina's in it and competitive. Based off what we've heard from the coaching staff, he's far, far hands and above better, far and away better than Colton Gauthier. So if Gauthier's in there, it's either a blowout or he gets hurt. So, I mean, I'm with you that I would like to see him because we just want a sneak peek. But, I mean, Gauthier's probably not going to be in the mix really next year either. So what's the benefit at this point? Just let him keep learning and developing.
But give him a series or two. I'm with you. I don't know how much more mobile he would necessarily be. We'll talk about that because there was some South Carolina football news yesterday. Bill Gunner, Patrick Brett, you're listening to the early game on 107.5 The Game.
Gamecocks, Braves, the NFL with live local radio. 107.5 The Game, WNKT FM.
Oh, Robin, you missed there. I mean, Yeah, you missed a ton. Just a lot of great stuff. Thank you, Ken. Appreciate that. Yeah, Carlton, George Glipp, certainly very sad news yesterday. Oh, let me stretch, walk around for a minute. Everybody do your own thing. Move your feet or whatever it is you do in the morning. Up and move around for a second.
Yeah, me neither. But I'm told it all comes down to the ingredients. And when I need ingredients,
Mark out there.
I go to eBay Motors. Whether you're local
Get up, move around, stretch them out.
man, if you raise your price on a lamppost, eBay Motors has parts at the right price. 122 million of them. And by the way, if you recently fired up the grill, has grills too. eBay Motors. Let's ride. What can give you a competitive edge in today's red-hot housing market? Rocket can. That's because Rocket Mortgage can give you a verified approval. It could help your offer stand out. Rocket Technology provides a rock-solid verification of your income, assets, and credit, giving sellers greater confidence in you. Go to rocketmortgage.com or call us today. 833.
All right. Has anyone seen the new Venom movie, the new James Bond, or King Richard, and have a strong opinion on them? I'm trying to figure out what I'm going to watch today. Anyone can vouch hard for any of those movies, I'll watch it. Otherwise, I'm going with the shortest one. Richard was decent. Okay. What was decent? Slow? Was it the story, or what was it? I think I heard that it was supposed to be pretty honest, not just a puff piece. Pretty interested in that story. It's on HBO Max, easy to watch.
What was this?
King Richard.
Oh, with
Will Smith.
Yeah.
Lester,
I thought the dad was like an over controlling jerk. Wasn't that what they made him out to be when the girls were young? Like when they were first coming on? Or am I wrong about that? Like when
I always thought that there were similarities between him and Tiger's dad in terms of just the intensity in which he worked them.
Like, yeah, I've heard that the movie makes him sound like a great guy, really great guy. But I thought when the girls first came on the scene that like they were like, oh, the dad's an awful person.
I don't think he was an awful person. I think he pushed them really hard, but also fought really hard for them. So I think it was a little bit of both. But I don't know if the movie was full on. But yeah, I think Kurt Warner already basically took the idea for Zeb's book, just made the NFL version of it. That one I most certainly will not watch.
The Kurt Warner book or movie?
American Underdog, yeah. I knew I wasn't gonna watch it when the pictures came out, the whatever they're called, the marketing photos, and the actor Zach Levi didn't know how to hold a football. He was holding it away from the laces and weird and in his arm, he's clearly never thrown a football before. Football movies are hard to make and make the action look good.
Oh yeah, I watched some of it last night, but I need to mention the women's basketball game too. So many things happened yesterday. So many activities.
Did you see the end of that game, Bill?
I mean, I've seen it. I've seen the. I mean, if you're asking, did I see like the highlights of it? Yes.
Yeah. So the ending.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, if you're asking, did I stay up to watch the Pelicans Thunder game? No.
That's one of the most absurd endings. It's really hard for it to get any better than that.
I gotta admit, I went to bed. I had a couple drinks. I made some. Oh, I got your. I got your Christmas tin in the car when we go to leave with your goodies. Yeah. I was gonna say I made another thing of Chex Mix last night. Ate some of that. I apparently decided yesterday was not going to be an eating day. I ate some Chex Mix. Part of that, some of those croissants we got brought, and I think that was it. But I did get into the Jefferson's Reserve last night, so I went to bed early. Back we are.
Jen Jensen. The coffee is brewed, the donuts are fresh. It's time for the early game.
Hey, will you guys let me know if this ever airs?
On 107.5, The Game.
You're just getting up and getting moving and have not listened for the first hour. Oh, there is so much on the table to talk about. I apologize. Completely forgot about last night's South Carolina victory over Duke, 55-64. Patrick, an absolutely dominating performance from Aaliyah Boston, 19 points, 14 rebounds. A little bit of a boring game. South Carolina got out to a big lead, 32-16 at halftime up at Cameron Indoor, and then kind of cruised in the second half. Didn't play particularly great in the second half. They go on to win by 9, 55-46. They were in complete control of this game. I think Duke I think the closest I remember it getting was 7. I might have got to 6, but I don't remember that. But South Carolina was in complete control of this game. But Aaliyah Boston just absolutely dominant last night. 19 points, 14 rebounds, 4 blocks. This is according to Gamecocks Online is where I'm looking here. And the Gamecocks moved to 11-0 on the season. They'll have another big test. Dawn is got the girls playing a string of big-time games. We know about the Maryland game this past Sunday. Obviously, Duke last night, and next Tuesday night at Colonial Life Arena, South Carolina will host Stanford, who is currently ranked 21st nationally. But the girls moved to 11-0 on the season, and again, it wasn't the most pretty game to watch, but it was dominant. 55-46 last night. Again, it was 32-16 at halftime. Duke putting just 7 points on the board in the first quarter, just 9 in the second quarter. South Carolina putting up 17 in the first and 15 in the second to build that 32-16 lead, Patrick. And again, it was Aaliyah Boston getting it done last night. 19 points, 14 rebounds, 4 blocks. She was 8 of 15 from the field. Letitia Amahir, 10 points last night. And Destiny Littleton with 10 as well. So South Carolina moves to 11-0 on the season. And again, you can check them out next Tuesday night, Colonial Life Arena. They will take on Stanford there in another ranked showdown with another marquee program. If you want to join us this morning, 803-404-6100. How you can do so. We've been talking about the early signing day everything that transpired yesterday. And Patrick, as we move through it, you and I kind of got into it, but about 9 a.m., we were still waiting to see things and how they would shake out. I think the one guy that at that point I was really kind of intrigued to make sure South Carolina held on to was Landon Sampson. TCU made a big run there at the very end, trying to convince him to switch and go play for the Horned Frogs. South Carolina holds on to him. That's the guy offensively that I think has the chance to make the biggest impact right away. The guy that you and I think, agreed upon defensively ended up flipping yesterday. Jayshawn Barham makes the move, goes to Maryland. Some people have asked what happened. Shane Beamer kind of addressed that yesterday in his press conference. Recruiting is a shady industry. I covered it. I was very in-depth in it, both basketball and football-wise, working for 24/7 Sports and for ESPN as well. Yes, there are, if what Shane says is true yesterday, and I have no reason not to believe him, that this was all orchestrated by Maryland. And they flipped, technically, they flipped 3 kids in 24 hours. Ramon Brown, the running back who South Carolina had been involved with, flipped from Virginia Tech to Maryland on Tuesday night. There was an offensive lineman that flipped from Penn State to Maryland on Wednesday morning, about the same time that Barham did. And then you had Jayshawn Barham as well yesterday flipping. Coaches will do that to earn some style points. Bobby Bowden, everybody loves Bobby Bowden, but there was a lot of people that thought Bobby Bowden would tell guys not to publicly commit until signing day. Patrick, I don't know if you're old enough to remember back in the day, Florida State would finish signing day with just this flurry of guys back in the early 2000s, kind of as they were still kind of in a bit of their heyday. And a lot of that people attributed to Bobby saying, hey, we know you're coming. Wait until signing day so we can have a kind of a big splashy signing day, get a lot of attention. It feels like, after listening to Shane Beamer last night, it feels like what I saw Maryland do. If it was just the one player, I would say, I don't know. But when you see him flip 3.
But Ramon Brown committed the day before.
Well, that's what I'm saying. But he's that night at about, I think, 7 o'clock on Tuesday night. So you get the momentum, you get the ball rolling, then you have the 2 guys flip. It is interesting. I don't know if I'm with the same people that are like, all right, that's it. Get Maryland on the schedule. Let's go up and go get them. I don't know if I have that amount of dislike for Mike Locksley and for Maryland right now. I think it'd be a neat regional matchup. I haven't seen South Carolina. I think the last time, maybe South Carolina and Maryland have played each other in some baseball in the last 10 years, I believe, in a regional. I think that seems right.
Yeah, maybe.
I think the Holbrook era, South Carolina played Maryland. I remember a basketball game against Maryland where Melvin Watson banked in a 3 in the 90s.
They used to play a lot of basketball games against.
Used to play a lot. That was a big rivalry. My grandfather worked was on the production team for Frank McGuire back in the day. Homer Fesperman was my grandfather, or is my grandfather, but was my grandfather. But he worked with him, and he still tells the story of South Carolina losing a basketball. He passed away. My grandfather passed away in March of 2019, so he doesn't still tell the story. I tell it now. But he would tell the story of South Carolina losing a basketball game in the heated ACC days in the 60s, and they went to get on the plane to fly back home after losing at Maryland, and the pilot looking at Frank McGuire and saying, hey, you just can't beat those Terrapins, can you, coach? And it angered Frank McGuire so much, he ordered the team off the plane, and they would not fly back until they got a different pilot, to which they later got a different pilot. So, yeah, there was a rivalry back in the day between South Carolina and Maryland. Again, I don't know if this one recruit rekindles that to the point that we need to get Maryland on the schedule and go up to College Park and exact revenge on the Terrapins, but I wouldn't mind it just from a regional standpoint. But
yeah, I'd love to see the matchup, but I just don't get that. I mean, first of all, wouldn't you want kids to commit as early as possible? Because then other players will look at your class and say, okay, well, this thing's looking pretty good right now. I think I want to be a part of this class right here. Like Spencer Rattler, if he had committed 2 weeks ago, could potentially have swung a lot of people at South Carolina's direction. And don't you want that? And then it's not even that splashy. Like, no one else was talking. Only South Carolina and Maryland were talking about Jayshawn Barham flipping, because he's a good player. He's a 4-star. Would have been South Carolina's best recruit. He is Maryland's best recruit. But you're not talking about a top 10 player in the country. And also, you're not talking about going outside your territory. And you're not talking about Maryland going in, because Maryland made a huge blast last year, getting the number one linebacker in the country from Miami. So that was a huge splash. The kid has since transferred after 1 year, didn't even play because he tore his ACL. But a kid from your own backyard who is from 15, 20 minutes from your campus, it's not even that special of a flip. I don't get the reasoning behind all of that.
Yeah, it seems odd. It does seem a little
It
strange.
sounds more like it feels to me more like that would be someone in Jayshon Barham's camp was behind the.
Did you see
whole
the
thing.
video yesterday?
Yeah, the Go Terps. That sounds better than Go Cox.
Yeah, the mom's
Sounds
involved.
like the mom had to do something with it.
You know, I look
Because it just from Maryland's perspective, like, okay, I mean, you flipped a kid, but it's not like this is now giving you national attention. I mean, you're not headlining ESPN or 24/7 because
you flipped
a kid in from your own backyard who's not a top 100 player.
You know, these band coaches like this, they think differently. They think differently, and maybe though Mike Locksley saw this as a way to build some momentum. I understand what you're saying. It's hard to say what exactly went into that. We've heard the Shane Beamer side of things. Look, having covered recruiting, kids flipping is not a new thing, right?
Of course not.
It's not. That's not a new thing. But a kid committing Saturday afternoon, when and Wes and Chris and I, we talked about this briefly because there was happier things, there was better things to talk about for South Carolina yesterday. We were trying to highlight the positives, and you know, this was a bit of a negative. We were trying to highlight the positives. But it was a strange situation in which the kid told the Maryland staff he was committing to Maryland, and the kid told the South Carolina staff he was committing to Maryland on either Friday or Saturday. And then reverses course and commits to South Carolina an hour after he was expected to commit. And then obviously on Wednesday, a strange situation. I don't know if we'll ever know the details. I do appreciate Shane Beamer yesterday speaking up on it. It does raise some questions. I don't know if it angers me to the point that South Carolina needs to get Maryland on the schedule here in the very near future and go up and just beat them in College Park or get them here at Williams-Brice and take out revenge on them. But that was the odd situation yesterday. 803-404-6100. Big thank you to Zach, who weighs in. Says Stanford is ranked 3rd, not 21st. Yeah, it's strange. I was looking, Zach, at the Gamecocks Online, and it doesn't even have them ranked. The schedule for Gamecocks Online doesn't even, the one that I just looked at just says versus Stanford. One of the other things I looked at had them 21st. It has Duke ranked, I guess 15th. It also has them 25th now that I look at the Gamecocks Online website. So, but Stanford is 3rd. So you get a top 5 showdown at Colonial Life Arena next Tuesday night. So 803-404-6100. Jason Brown, the other news of yesterday, if you want to weigh in on that, I'm interested to hear South Carolina fans' perspective now, Patrick. 2 weeks from today, about this time, 2 weeks from today, Heath Klein and I will be doing a pregame show up in Charlotte, getting you ready for the Duke's Mayo Bowl, an 11:30 a.m. kickoff. If you'd have asked me this question earlier in the week, I would have said that this bowl game, kind of important, an opportunity to have an above 500 record, to pick up a victory over North Carolina, kind of a rival, obviously, a state. South Carolina yesterday landed landed players from 8 different states, Patrick. 8 different states. That's casting a pretty wide net. Texas, Florida, Georgia, the state of South Carolina. They went into Pennsylvania, Delaware, Virginia, and as I said that all out loud, I'm leaving one off. Mississippi. Mississippi was the 8th. They landed players from 8 different states yesterday. The one state you did not hear me just mention was the state of North Carolina.
Yeah. 8 different states, but not one of the 2 that borders you. It's weird.
Yeah. The state of North Carolina, which just surprising. South Carolina's had success in that state in recent years, but Mack Brown has been able to come in and really shut things down. South Carolina's got to get back into that state. They do produce. The state of North Carolina, as we know, produces some high-quality players. You can go back through South Carolina's history, most recently Pharaoh Cooper and Melvin Ingram. I'm sure I'm leaving somebody else out, but guys that came from that state. So beating North Carolina certainly would have had an appeal. Now you take away Jason Brown, and nothing against Zeb Nolan, but Patrick, I'm curious, 803-404-6100, to hear now, not what people think like, oh, I don't want to hear, yeah, we might get crushed or we're going to lose by 30. That's not the question. It's how important has this bowl game become for South Carolina in the long-term future? Because there are times a bowl game, I think, you win it and it really jump starts the next year. It really becomes it's a momentum boost into 2022. I continue to say when Clemson was losing 5 straight to South Carolina, they won some big bowl games. They won some big bowl games that would boost them into the next season, rebuild momentum, rebuild some enthusiasm. There are certain bowl games that can do that. There are certain times bowl games are completely irrelevant. Certain times. 803-404-6100. We'll talk about that. JJ Ngbare also opting out, ending his season yesterday, ending his career for the University of South Carolina. We'll talk about Ngbare. We'll talk about Jason Brown and get your thoughts. 803-404-6100. You're listening to the early game on 107.5 The Game.
This is Gamecock basketball head coach Frank Martin, and you're listening to 107.5 The Game, WNKT FM, Eastover, Columbia.
Big fan of holiday traditions. Big fan of people coming over, enjoying the Gunner household, being able to snack, hang around. Bowl games start this weekend. You can check those out when you come and hang around. What I'm not a big fan of is people messing up my house, leaving crumbs, messing up the carpet, tracking mud in through the house. Nope, not a big fan of that at all. But that is why I still call Zero Res, because I'm not turning away the family, especially during the holiday season. I'm not telling them not to come over and enjoy the delicious food that I've baked. That's right, I bake food. I peanut butter balls, Chex Mix. I do it all, and I like people to come and enjoy it. I just prefer the house to be clean. That's why I call Zero Res. 803-262-4020. You can also book online, ZeroResColumbia.com. When you book Zero Res right now, you can get 3 rooms of carpet clean for only $119. And when you mention me, Bill Gunner at 107.5 The Game, you'll get a hallway cleaned for free. So book today.
803-262-4020 or online, ZeroResColumbia.com is the way to do that. It is the ZR water technology that makes Zero Res stand out. Technology so incredible, it's scientifically proven to get your carpet, rugs, tile, and upholstery insanely clean. Trust me, again, I like my family. I love my house being clean. That's why I use Zero Res. Can't recommend them enough. 803-262-4020. 3 rooms of carpet cleaned right now for only $119. And when you mention me, the little short guy, Bill Gunner on 107.5 The Game, that's right, you'll get your hallway cleaned for free. So give them a call, 803-262-4020 or online, ZeroResColumbia.com. Zero Res, spell it backwards or forwards, is the right way to clean. Nose is driving me crazy. It's itching. People must be talking about me. Ah. Kelly, Jason is opted out, or opted. He's in the transfer portal and will not play in the bowl game. Not going to play. So that is technically what is going on.
Yeah, Chuck, not true. It's not true.
That's all right. No need to be sorry. That's why we're here.
Florida State fans just went crazy with that.
Was Taylor Edwards part of? Well, that is an interesting little connection, Patrick, that I'll bring up.
What would
I'll
Joey
bring it up in a minute. I'll throw it at you.
Is it what Joey said?
Yeah.
Because I don't know that. I don't know that situation.
I'll read it to you. That's a interesting little. I'll read it, and the live streamers can hear it as well, and then we'll get into Jason Brown and Satterfield. Also, because I had no reason to really follow this, and good Lord, this is a dud of a game. I did not realize tonight's Thursday night game is Houston and Jacksonville. No. What is he talking about? Going into a Thursday, not Thursday night game. I see what he's saying. Houston, Jackson. Tonight is the Chiefs and the Chargers. That'll be a pretty good game. I might go somewhere and watch that.
And now, back to the early game on 107.5 The Game.
Sun is rising up over Columbia. Hope you're doing well this morning. Bill Gunner, Patrick Perrette, Jen Jensen out this morning, but we are getting you through. Want to remind you, we are partnering with the American Red Cross to help lessen the severe blood shortage that South Carolina is currently experiencing. We will be holding a blood drive on Thursday, December 30th. The drive will be held at the American Red Cross, located at 2751 Bull Street in Columbia. It'll be from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. All donors will receive an exclusive Red Cross t-shirt. Sign up online at redcrossblood.org and enter sponsor code Cumulus Cares. Again, that'll be Thursday, December 30th from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. at the American Red Cross, located 2751 on Bull Street in Columbia. Get over there, and if you can sign up now, you can go to redcrossblood.org and enter the sponsor code Cumulus Cares. 803-404-6100. I'd forgot about this connection. And Joey on the Cool Care Heating and Air text line weighs in. He says, Bill, I'm not accusing anyone as I don't know the facts, but remember the connection of Taylor Edwards. If Mike Locksley had heartburn with Edwards coming to us, however that took place, things like that can open the door for sour grapes and revenge. I had to remember, when exactly was Taylor Edwards the director of player personnel associated with Mike Locksley? Well, it was the last 2 years. Taylor Edwards, who Shane Beamer has praised, and Taylor Edwards has done a fantastic job down there for Shane Beamer in terms of player personnel and development and helping with recruiting. If you listened to Shane Beamer yesterday here at 4 o'clock on his press conference, he did mention Taylor Edwards, and Edwards has been mentioned prominently as a key component of South Carolina's recruiting force that they used this past year. Edwards coming from Maryland, where he was the director of recruiting operations the past two seasons, where he worked with Mike Locksley. According to this, he was instrumental in helping the Terrapins recruit the 31st ranked class in 2020 and a top 20 recruiting class, Patrick, in 2021. Yeah, that he left to come be with Shane Beamer and has been a big part of Shane Beamer's staff. He's drawn a lot of praise from Shane Beamer. So just a little piece of information, a little nugget of information, Joey. Thank you for that.
I get it, but I still don't. I just don't understand what was accomplished by having Jayshon Barham fake commit to South Carolina for 72 hours.
Coaches are weird.
Craig said, I mean, stealing a kid from an SEC school, like I get that too, but also Big Ten schools feel like they're the best conference in the country too. So it's not like a small ACC school saying, look, we just stuck it to the big bad SEC. I mean, the Big Ten considers themselves part of that. Like the Big Ten wasn't in the alliance because the Big Ten didn't feel like they needed to be in the alliance. So, and Maryland's a 6-6 team. South Carolina's a 6-6 team. Like it's not, you didn't just pry someone away from Alabama. You didn't just go into Texas and take a kid away from Texas A&M. It just seems weird and pointless.
It does.
And if that was orchestrated by Mike Locksley, that just seems like way too much. And I cannot imagine that with everything he's dealing with as a head coach, getting ready for the bowl game, recruiting lots of kids, it just seems weird that that's something that he would be telling a kid. I can't imagine he's behind that.
Hard to say. But again, coaches have egos, and maybe there's more to it than we realize. But certainly an interesting little thing there. Look, that was the negative. There was a lot though for South Carolina to be very positive about yesterday in terms of recruiting. Now, as far as the actual team, I'm interested to hear, because I'm not sure where to go with this. This is the fun part of doing a sports talk radio. I can ask for other opinions and we can debate this. And Patrick, yesterday, you get the news, Jason Brown entering the transfer portal. I wasn't here on Monday or Tuesday, I guess, but I know you and Tommy discussed it a little bit. You knew that there was going to be some fallout from Spencer Rattler becoming a Gamecock. Even on Tuesday, even though I wasn't with you doing the show, my general feeling was it would be Jason Brown because he's got 1 year of eligibility left.
Yeah, it was the natural fit.
Yeah, it's
and he gets a free transfer because of the grad transfer,
right? And it makes sense. And I don't think the only thing I think you could question about it is why would you not stick it out through the bowl game? It's not like you're going to be able to, if Brown transfer. I guess going into the portal now 2 weeks prior maybe gives you more time to try and find a school. But he could have done the bowl game. He could have maybe enhanced his stock a little bit.
That's what I was going to say. I mean, he's so far down the list of transfer quarterbacks right now, and there's going to be lots of schools that maybe they would take a Jason Brown, but they're gonna hold out and say, well, what if this guy? Like, all right, well, we like Harrison Bryant, but we don't know where he's going to go. But if he doesn't come, well, I guess we'll take.
Was that Harrison Bailey?
Harrison Bailey.
Okay,
yeah.
Thank goodness I'm not the only one that
Harrison
messes
Bryant's
up names.
tight end for the Saints.
Okay, got it. Oh, I'm just glad that you joined me this morning on messing up a name.
From Youngstown State, I think.
But I do wonder what the game means. Steven from Blythewood weighs in. If the results of a bowl game in December have a negative effect on your next season, you have much bigger issues than you could ever imagine. I think I'm going to make your point, Steven, that I still think that the previous Belk Bowl, now we're in the Dukes Mayo Bowl, but the previous Belk Bowl, I don't know. I felt like that was a big turning point for Will Muschamp. Certainly they had the North Carolina game under control when they went back up in 2019, and then things got away there in the fourth quarter. I understand your point, but I think it's more of a springboard. And this was a game that maybe a week ago I looked at and thought, boy, South Carolina goes up there and wins. North Carolina's defense is kind of, not that South Carolina's offense is lights out, but North Carolina's defense is suspect, to say the least. Maybe South Carolina can get going, move the football. Yeah, we're going to talk about Marcus Satterfield for 2 weeks now, and what kind of game plan can he come up with? Can the offensive line block? There's a million questions. I think that the South Carolina offense gets to answer on December 30th. There's questions we're gonna have lots of them, and it's going to be up to the South Carolina offense to answer. And look, Patrick, you would agree with me. I feel like we're going to know the answers within the first quarter, right? Like South Carolina's going to come out. They're either going to go down and like look good, look competent on offense. We're going to go, okay, maybe this is a game that things, I don't know if they come together, but okay, maybe they'll have a plan. Or within the first 2 or 3 drives, you're going to watch South Carolina, North Carolina, and be like, oh boy, South Carolina doesn't have it on offense. This is another really bad game plan. But what do people take away from this bowl? Patrick, what do you not expect in terms of a game, but what becomes your expectations for the bowl? Are you now just happy that South Carolina's there? That the outcome is irrelevant? That it's just another chance to watch your team, to do some tailgating, to go to another stadium? Or now do you say, nah, we still kind of need to win this bowl game, finish with above 500 record, add a Duke's Mayo Bowl trophy to the trophy case, and present it to recruits for the 2023 class?
Honestly, I kind of think that it's not that important anymore. As don't get embarrassed. If you lose the game by a couple points, so be it. But I almost think because you've landed Spencer Rattler, because you've landed Austin Stogner and had a good recruiting class, I almost feel like mission accomplished for this season. You know, this is what we wanted to get to the bowl game.
Mm-hmm.
The bowl game brought you momentum. Who knows if that's the reason that Spencer Rattler and Austin Stogner are coming here anyway? Would they have come just because of Shane Beamer if South Carolina was a 4-8 team right now and not playing in a bowl game? Maybe not, but you're getting these extra practices already. You're losing 2 of your best players, and then your quarterback who would have started this game. So, you know, I'm not going to say you're doomed if you lose the game, or this is going to be a bad omen going forward if you lose the football game. You've accomplished more than most South Carolina fans expected and could have ever wished for this year, with a lot of cards stacked against you. So I am kind of in the camp of, you did what you needed to do this season just by being in this game. So you also capitalized on the momentum that this game brought you. So done deal. Just play a good football game, have a good time, don't get blown out, play tough. But if you win, I mean, it's almost just you're playing with house money, I feel like.
I think you make a great point. I think that there is a lot of momentum for South Carolina right now, which I don't know if we would have said the same thing on November 28th after being shut out by Clemson 30-0, but you do feel like the program, between landing Spencer Rattler and Austin Stogner, between yesterday's signing period, I'll even throw in both the men's and the women's basketball right now. The men's basketball is playing some really good basketball right now. The women's team is 11-0 and number 1 in the country. As an overall athletic department that I know you've had some rough moments in the past 2 or 3 years, it feels like a very positive vibe. We'll continue talking about this as we roll along. You're listening to the early game on 107.5 The Game.
College football playoffs are here.
Sometime, crew is up against it. The breaks are beating the boys. Tell them to get out there and give it all they've got. And win just one for the zipper.
College football playoffs are here on 107.5 The Game.
College football's back in the.
We will.
Yeah, I agree, Chuck. I was kind of thinking as I said that this sounds like loser talk, but somewhere in between. I don't want to contribute to loser talk before a game. I never like that.
Yeah. Yep. Oh, stretch it out this morning. Correct, Jeff. Yeah, he could play. Gauthier could play in the bowl game and not. We'll talk about that in a minute there, just kind of more about that. Looks like we might have some phone calls there that we'll get to. But yeah, Gauthier could play. Spencer Rattler cannot play. Patrick, Brian Edwards did not respond last night. Let's see if this is him retweeting. No, it's not. So Brian Edwards will be. Oh. Oh yeah, Troy, I agree. 6 and 7, but I don't know, the chance to be 7 and 6 in Beamer's first year, to get out of your first year with an overall winning record as a head coach. I don't know. I hate to say it, I don't have high hopes for the bowl game. I'm interested to see them, but I'm interested to see just the game plan. Like Kevin Harris and Marshawn Lloyd should still be more than enough to carry the run game, but what kind of strategy will they use? Or how will the offensive game plan be? And will the offensive line be able to block anybody? And I haven't looked. I really have not gotten into the statistics of North Carolina to see how they run the football. Jeff, we'll talk about that Colton Gauthier thing, because normally I've been very adamant to not play Gauthier this year, but I think this is a chance you do give him, because you don't burn his red shirt. I think you do give him a series or two. And Chuck, yeah, I think Zaquandre White's energy, I'm with you on that.
Discussing yesterday's post-signing day fallout, South Carolina. Solid class, top 25 class. Again, it'll come down to some player development if you want to weigh in on that. Also, we've been discussing Jason Brown heading to the transfer portal. One of the interesting things of that, Patrick, is Colton Gauthier. He can play in this game. Spencer, we had an anonymous texter on the Cool Care Heating and Air text line asked, could Spencer Rattler play in this game? No. Rattler, Austin Stogner will not be available for this game. They cannot play with two football teams in the same football season. They've obviously both played for Oklahoma this year, so they're out. But Colton Gauthier is a guy that, Patrick, I'm not asking for him to start. I'm not asking for extended playing time, but I wouldn't mind if it's an exhibition type game. putting him out there a little bit, giving him a series, maybe 2 series. I'm not saying give him a whole quarter or anything, but I think it would be interesting to see how he looks as a little change of pace from Zeb Nolan. Give him some reps going into the spring.
It's natural to want to see the young guy. I mean, that's how it is. But I guess you have to choose between yourself. Do you want to see Colton Gauthier and see what he's made of more than you want to win the game at all costs? Because if you think that putting him out there for one drive could jeopardize your chances of winning the game, because every drive counts in this game, and North Carolina is going to be able to score, and South Carolina needs to make every possession count. Do you want to burn one or burn a couple of series to see for the sake of seeing Colton Gauthier, or just burn one snap? Do you want to put him out there on first down if it means potentially putting yourself behind the sticks and hurting yourself going forward in the drive? If that's how the coaches feel, then that could be dangerous.
Well, you obviously pick and choose the right time. You don't put him out there when he's down pinned inside his 20-yard line and needing to go 80, 85 yards.
No, but if you have plus field position and you put him out there, then you could be hurting a really strong chance to score.
I think it's an interesting thing. Just also, look, and no offense to Zeb Nolan, I'm not criticizing the guy. I'm saying something we all know. Zeb's not exactly a mobile guy back there, to put it lightly. I don't think Colton Gauthier is going to go out and break an 80-yard run on anybody. But if you've got somebody who's just Jason Brown is not somebody I would label as a dual threat quarterback, but he was mobile enough to make some plays with his legs. And I think from what I understood in recruiting and previously, Gauthier is not, again, is he going to scramble for 15 or 20 yards? Not unless some defensive players fall down. But can he make a play or two with his legs? Because right now, none of us, I think, go to this bowl game saying, yeah, the offensive line is going to magically become a brick wall. We'll continue to talk. I'm interested on people's opinion with Gauthier going into this bowl game. I will say this. I will say my personal opinion, Patrick, is we don't see him at all. Unless the game's out of hand either way, right or left. A blowout for South Carolina, blowout for North Carolina. I don't think he plays, but I would like to see him. Let's get out to the Love Chevy phone lines. Ty is up this morning. Ty, how you doing? What's on your mind?
Hey, guys. How y'all doing?
Good.
I've been thinking about this Spencer Rattler thing since it happened. I'm obviously a Miami Hurricane fan, but I do support the Gamecocks. And I'm like, why would he go to the Gamecocks with everybody else out there? But it's kind of genius if you think about it. South Carolina has a rabid fan base, meaning by him coming and with the name, likeness, image, it's probably going to go through the roof, especially if he has any success at South Carolina. He's going to have a home base that's going to, even if he don't make it in the pros like he wants to, or let's say he become a bust in the pros, he will always have this fan base to fall on with that. Second, I believe any success that he provides South Carolina is going to boost his Heisman or even boost him up in the NFL draft, because it's a harder situation. What I mean by that is you got a team that's in a very hard conference that's usually in the middle of the pack. If he can rise the profile of South Carolina at all, he will become obviously a legend here, but also help him as far as what he want to do as far as the draft and also getting paid. And third, he don't have to worry about another 5-star coming to replace him. So he knows he has job security. So I think just coming here is probably the best actual situation he can ever hope for. I'll get off and I'll listen to you guys' opinions.
Appreciate the phone call, Ty. Yeah, I mean, Patrick, what Ty's saying, it's Spencer Rattler's job. You want a quarterback competition.
Mm-hmm.
And I think, what South Carolina fans hope here is this pushes Luke Doty, who already is a tremendously hard worker. Luke Doty's problems right now have nothing to do with his work ethic. He's got to get healthy, and he's just got to develop. He's got to be given some time. Sometimes South Carolina fans, we heard it this year with Gauthier, right? Put him out there, throw him, play him. He's the future. Well, South Carolina's been doing that. 6 true freshmen starting quarterbacks over the last 7 years, which is ridiculous because Jake Bentley played for an extended amount of time. So I'm still confused on how you go about being able to pull that one off. But the truth is, you got to let some of these guys develop. And that's where I think Spencer Rattler comes in and is able to make an impact there. And not only help South Carolina, but also allow Luke Doty to continue to develop.
Yeah, and I mean, Ty made a lot of good points. There's a lot of good reasons for Spencer Rattler to be here, and one of them is that his backup is Luke Doty, and it's not. I mean, this is why Quinn Ewers didn't transfer to Texas A&M. Maybe he doesn't want to compete with Haynes King or the freshman that's coming in there, or you don't want to be in a situation where Caleb Williams is your backup, or Kyle McCord, another 5-star, is the backup at Ohio State, and you're not going in there with a person who's very much established and a backup who is also a big-time player. So it made sense in a lot of ways. And yes, if Spencer Rattler can elevate South Carolina, his stock will be raised even higher than just plugging yourself into a ready-made offense like in Oklahoma and doing something that 2 guys before you already did, just not as high of a level. Or even Jalen Hurts. You add Jalen Hurts in the mix. Baker, Kyler, Jalen, and then Spencer. And yeah, I mean, it's a good situation in a lot of ways. Even if it's harder, that could almost pay bigger dividends for him in the long run.
803-404-6100. We'll continue on the Love Chevy phone lines, and we'll get out to the Cool Care Heating and Air text line as well as we continue on. You're listening to the early game on 107.5 The Game.
More of the early game coming up on 107.5 The Game.
Sponsored by BioNTech and Pfizer. Festivals, football, the great outdoors. Some people say fall is...
Oh, yeah.
To turn Mary and Joseph away to Jesus birth. We think of him as a
Yeah, we're on the same page. I see your message.
Well,
We're on the
do you know
same
who this guy is?
Huh?
Do you know who he is?
No.
Oh, he's the guy that made a call something about beets when we were talking about. Remember, somebody mentioned beets. Hell, something like mayo and beets. I think his comment was. That's him.
Gotcha.
So this could open a different can of worms that we could just end the hour with, or start the hour with. It really doesn't matter.
Hope. My understanding with both of them, they've got to get here, and I think they are, as of yesterday, they are working toward getting them enrolled. They'll definitely be enrolled for spring practice, but I think it's a matter of how quickly can they get them enrolled for the start of the winter semester. Patrick, you remember this a little bit better than I do because you're not too far removed. How far into January does it go before the winter semester starts? Is it the second week of January? First week?
No, it's not the first week, I don't think. I think it's probably the second week.
So
I mean, in that video that Maryland put out, I think Loxley said January 20th was move-in day for them.
Yeah, I mean, Hope, to be honest with you, I guess one of us could reach out to Rattler or Stogner and interview them, providing that they want to do it. I guess we could do that. I don't think the university controls them just yet, to my knowledge. I think it's just like a recruit. I believe once they get on campus is when you have to go through Steve Fink and the school. But I guess we could reach out to them. So yeah, January 10th. So what is it? It's the 16th today. So 14 days, 15 days, throw on another 9, 24 days to get them in. So. Oh, let me close this door.
I don't know why this keeps happening. Do you see this, that there's 2 lines calling at the same time?
Yeah, Jen's talked about that before. She confused by it.
I hate this.
Pioneer Medical Spa in the Midlands has gift certificates for every price range. Now get off your lazy butt and call 783-1201.
Broadcasting live from the Heritage. This is 7.5 The Game. Come on, shop online today and see why Heritage Chevrolet makes you smile. And now, back to the early game.
On 107.5 The Game.
803-404-6100 is how you can join us. 7:50 here on a Thursday morning, post signing day edition of the early game. Let's get back out to the Love Chevy phone lines. Rusty has waited patiently. Rusty, how you doing this morning? What's on your mind?
Doing fine, Bill. Listen, you asked me a couple of weeks ago to call back and explain my abhorrence to beats. But before I do that, let me just chime in on the Maryland situation with McGuire getting off the plane. That started back in the Coliseum where we beat Maryland 97-70. I was at that game, and it was stopped because it was a fight, and John Ribot punched out Lefty Driesell. Then we went up to Maryland, and they held the ball for the whole first half. The score was 3-2 at half, and they ended up winning the game 34-33 in overtime, I believe. So that thing on the plane was just the final icing on the cake with that situation. But back to the beats. The reason I hate beets is that I was vegetably abused as a child.
Oh.
I'm sure we all were because your mother would say, now you're going to taste it. If you don't like it, you got to at least taste it, right? Well, my mother pushed beets down my throat more than once. So it was a trauma. That's what it is.
That definitely sounds traumatic there.
And then you smother mayonnaise on it, and you know, there you go. I mean, it's just hell. So beets and mayonnaise, hell food. You know, Miracle Whip. I'm surprised it's even called Miracle because it's not mayonnaise. Hellman's is named correctly, and it's ironic that Dukes rhymes with pukes. So you guys, I enjoy your show. Have a great day. I hope that nobody else has beet trauma.
Yeah. That sounds like a lot there, Rusty. 803-404-6100. Couple people here on the Love Chevy phone lines. Anonymous texter says, unfortunately, aren't you one snap away from Gauthier being the guy for the bowl game? And that's true, Patrick. I mean, he is going to go into this game as the backup quarterback. I would assume DeCarrion Joyner right now will be the third string quarterback in this situation. I guess the emergency quarterback is how he would be labeled. So yeah, I think it's all in what you want to see for the bowl game and how you exactly want South Carolina to try and play it. The texter was asking about Spencer Rattler playing in it. He says you play to win the game, and I agree. South Carolina, don't go. I might have misworded what I said earlier about it being an exhibition game, and I apologize for that. But what I mean is, yeah, you go with the intention of winning this football game. I just, at the same time, I think it's an opportunity to maybe just throw Colton Gauthier in there in the right situation. If you can find that. You're right, Patrick. If you're in there, if Zeb Nolan, if the offense all of a sudden is moving up and down the field, don't break momentum and say, well, we have plans to get Colton in there. I think you allow things to play out and see how you go. Rich weighs in on the Cool Care Heating and Air text line. He says, I'm not putting down Shane Beamer for having the 23rd ranked class, but that translates to 6-6 in the SEC. They were 10th. 10 teams in the league with higher ranked classes. Hard to achieve upward mobility like that. Well, Rich, it's kind of like what we said, though. South Carolina, I mean, it's kind of on par with some of the Steve Spurrier classes. There has to be, as Patrick pointed out, not just player development. You don't just have to develop some of these guys much like they were able to do with DJ Swearinger and Connor Shaw and Devin Taylor, guys who are 3-star recruits. But then, as Patrick pointed out, you've got to put them in position. You got to scheme. You've got to coach. South Carolina, right now, for the foreseeable future, has to outcoach some teams because there are going to be teams with more talent. Recruiting will come. We'll continue talking about this. Brian Edwards, a Vegas insider, in the next hour as well. You're listening to The Early Game on 107.5 The Game.
The home of the Gamecocks. 107.5 The Game. WNKT FM, Eastover, Columbia.
Apparently, Maryland took down the Jayshon Barham video.
You want to get on air, Richard? Yeah. Or he just was the signal stuff because he wanted to just listen, right? He didn't want to actually get on air, right? Richard? Yeah.
I think he did. I mean, he just sucked.
No, he's Jackass. He's been doing this with him.
Is that the guy?
Yeah.
Okay. I never know which Richard's which Richard.
Yeah, no, I was never like, because I'm Maddox.
Yeah,
Okay. When I was looking for him, that's why I was like,
that's why I didn't type his name in.
Yeah.
Figure if we get to him, we get to him, but I wasn't gonna.
nah. As soon as you said that, and I looked up someone last night, yeah, that's the. Nah.
Yeah. Good.
What do you want to talk about?
I said there's no time again today. What's your name? Richard. Okay, what do you want to talk about? Recruiting. All right.
We weren't.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that's not happening.
You need Brian Edwards' number? You mean to text you that?
I don't think so. I think I have it.
He hit us up on Twitter, so he's. I told him
I have it.
if you got NFL games for this weekend,
I can look at them. Yeah.
and we'll throw the Carolina Clemson basketball game at him, and bowl games.
Cool. Bill, did you see that apparently Maryland took down the Jayshon Barham video? Bill's speaker's not on, I guess. Put your speaker on your laptop. This guy. Just no respect for the live stream. Leaving during the segment, doesn't turn his speaker on the laptop, so I can't even talk to him. Oh yes. When is the deadline, Craig? Is it tomorrow? I think it's tomorrow. I'll tweet out the link one more time. Make sure we can get everybody in. And if you're in the pick'em, make sure that you put your name so that if you win, we know who won. Bill, can you hear me? Turn your speaker on. Bill. Unbelievable.
I forget Jen's exact schedule, but are you back in here tomorrow?
I don't know. I didn't know I was in here today. I looked through my text and it was never mentioned that I was supposed to be in here today.
Oh, she said.
Didn't tell me.
Well.
Picks are in. I might have to go through and double check my picks. I went purely based off gut call. Bill.
2 breaks this hour, right? Yeah.
Turn your speaker on. Turn your speaker on your computer. Now can you hear me?
Now I can. I cut my thing on. Yeah. You said
I know.
2?
Yeah, 2. I know you cut it on because I've been trying to talk to you the whole break.
Well, I've been back and forth. Yeah, Chuck. Yeah. Oh, you missed it.
Bill, is private property always packed every time you go?
Yeah, you got to call like 2 weeks in advance. I always sit at the bar. We sat at the bar the other night.
I didn't know that. I was trying to make a reservation for Friday for my dad's birthday, and they were like, "Yeah, we have nothing."
Yeah, no, they're it's ridiculous. Yeah. You said for your dad's birthday?
Yeah.
So y'all got a big crowd?
4.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like I said, I've never actually gone up there and made a reservation. I always just go sit. We sat up at the bar on Monday night.
I don't really know where else to go.
I give you some suggestions.
I mean, that was like right up his alley because he's a seafood guy. We're not going to go to like an Italian restaurant or anything like that. It's just not our vibe.
Yeah, Jan, the bar at private property, a little bit too fancy for you. And then the bar at LJ's, which is not too fancy for you. You're always welcome at LJ's. Where
It's always
everybody
prepared
knows your name.
properly.
My Grand Slam was supposed to be with sausage.
On 107.5, The Game.
Thursday morning episode. Hope you are doing well out there. Bill Gunner, Patrick Perrette. It is the early game, 8:03 on your Thursday morning. Coming up in about 15 minutes, Brian Edwards of VegasInsider.com. We definitely have some bowl games to get into this coming weekend. Patrick, you going to be a big bowl fan this weekend? You kind of hanging around? Will you do some baking? It starts tomorrow at noon. The bowl schedule gets going tomorrow at noon, and then you've got a full kind of slate of games. I guess for the state, it's highlighted by South Carolina State and Jackson State in the Celebration Bowl, noon out of Atlanta on ABC. But you've got a whole host of games on Saturday afternoon if you want to do a little Christmas baking or have a Christmas party and watch some bowl games. You going to be a bowl guy this weekend?
I don't think so.
No? Okay.
I mean, I'm looking at the schedule. I don't think there's anything that intrigues me. Maybe I'll find one here.
There's nothing let's go through the bowl games for the weekend here. Tomorrow, the Bahamas Bowl gets going. Middle Tennessee versus Toledo. That's right. Rick Stockstill, if you're looking for a connection there, takes on Toledo in the Bahamas Bowl. That'll be at noon on ESPN. You never know. You might want to start with again.
I found the one that I'll probably watch.
All right, let me give you this. Let me give you the rundown, and then you can come over the top there. You can counter back. Again, none of these games will I specifically say that I'm sitting down to watch. All right, but I'm a big fan of live sports, good live sports during the middle of a weekday. Noon, Middle Tennessee, Rick Stockstill against Toledo. ESPN tomorrow. Seems like a decent way to start the week. Maybe, to start the weekend. We'll be done with the show. Maybe go have a good lunch, sit somewhere, kind of have the game on a television somewhere, a few beverages, start the weekend. Tomorrow night, Northern Illinois versus Coastal Carolina. The tail greeter, it's 2 E's in that, tail greeter is what ESPN is telling me. Cure Bowl. ESPN 2. Coastal Carolina. Get on board. A little local flavor there in the state of South Carolina. Again, I will probably forget that game starts at 6 o'clock, and I will tune in at 7. But there's your 2 bowl games for tomorrow night. Saturday, You've got several games starting at 11 a.m. The roofclaim.com Boca Raton Bowl. For a person who has enough problems just pronouncing names, that's a lot to say. The roofclaim.com Boca Raton Bowl, Saturday. That'll be at 11 a.m. Western Kentucky, Appalachian State. It's not the worst thing. Noon, we just mentioned it, the Cricket Celebration Bowl on ABC, South Carolina State versus Jackson State. 2:15, the PUBG. Again, I'm reading it straight off of ESPN.
PUBG.
Huh?
PUBG.
Is that the name of it?
Yeah.
PUBG.
PUBG.
It's a cell phone carrier?
No.
It says PUBG Mobile New Mexico Bowl.
I mean, PUBG is a video game.
I've never felt older than what just happened right there.
It's like Fortnite, but I don't know.
Not feeling younger.
What's the rest of it?
The PUBG Mobile New Mexico Bowl.
PUBG. It's like more realistic or cooler looking Fortnite. I bet Austin knows what it is.
It's lovely. That'll be 2:15, the New Mexico Bowl. That's part of the fun of this is reading the sponsors of it. The PUBG Mobile New Mexico Bowl. A lot of us would have not known what exactly that was until Patrick was here. Thank you for being part of the program, Patrick. UTEP and Fresno State, for those of you that need to watch the New Mexico Bowl, 2:15 on Saturday. The Radiance Technologies Independence Bowl, 3:30 on Saturday. Alabama, Birmingham versus BYU. I can kind of get on board with that.
A little bit.
Saturday afternoon action. Start fixing the drinks. Maybe some of you got some ugly sweater Christmas parties to go to on Saturday night. Maybe a Christmas type thing. I think I've got a family event. UAB, BYU, 3:30 on Saturday, ABC. Lending Tree Bowl, Eastern Michigan versus Liberty. That's 5:45 on ESPN.
That's the only one that intrigues me.
Okay, I will be interested to hear your reasoning.
Well,
for
it's very
that.
simple. It's very simple. Malik Willis.
Okay,
I
still
like watching NFL quarterbacks. That's
all righty. Eastern Michigan and Liberty, the Lending Tree Bowl, 5:45 on Saturday. The Jimmy Kimmel LA Bowl presented by Stifle.
Got me.
Okay, all right, just checking. That'll be 7:30 on Saturday night. Will be the only game featuring a Power 5 opponent. Utah State takes on Oregon State. The Jimmy Kimmel LA Bowl presented by Stifle, 7:30 ABC Saturday night. And then your late game, for those of you who have not had enough bowl games in your life on Saturday night, the RL Carriers New Orleans Bowl, Louisiana versus Marshall. First game for the Raging Cajuns without Billy Napier. They take on Marshall. So there's your bowl lineup for the weekend. For those of you who are looking for something to do on Monday, get on down to Myrtle Beach and check out the Myrtle Beach Bowl presented by Tax Act, Old Dominion and Tulsa, 2:30. So bowl season starts tomorrow. Coming up in about 10 minutes, we'll catch up with Brian Edwards of Vegas Insider and get his take on some of these bowl games if you want to weigh in on that. 803-404-6100 is how you can join us this morning. We've been talking now kind of the aftermath of the South Carolina recruiting. And, as Rich said, Patrick, to kind of wrap up recruiting, in terms of where you're at in the SEC, in terms of being, it's a top 25 class, which you enjoy, but in the SEC, it's roughly 10th, 11th, 12th, depending on which recruiting service you look at. And with all that being said, it's going to come down. South Carolina has to coach up some guys. And I think you made a great point. It's not just coaching up guys. It's putting guys in position to succeed offensively and defensively. We saw Clayton White, I think, improve the defense this year. Again, there's a lot of positives South Carolina fans should be taking away from the 2021 season. The improvement, getting to a bowl game, I think a pretty solid recruiting class. That doesn't count the 2 transfers that you learned about on Monday night and Spencer Rattler and Austin Stogner. I think you feel good about the direction of the program. But when you look at this recruiting class, part of it is going to be, Patrick, development of certain players. Stone Blanton's a good player, but he needs some coaching, right? Landon Sampson, good player, can make an impact. Needs some coaching from Justin Stepp, the 3 offensive linemen. I like the athletic ability that was added, but they need to be coached up and developed over the next several years.
Yeah, that's really the bottom line. Even the guys you're most confident in, even all of the safeties we talked about yesterday that are highly touted players, they need to be coached up and they need to be put in the right positions because, like I said, there was a class 2 years ago, Hill, Hunter, and Fortune, all pretty highly recruited kids. none of them are making an impact right now. And how many wide receivers have we seen come in the last couple years that were highly recruited kids? I mean, Powers, Wyman, Caldwell, like lots of kids that were thought to be contributors, and none of them are contributing right now. So, yeah, something's got to change, whether it's just sometimes you miss on a kid, sometimes they're a little bit overrated in recruiting, and sometimes the coaches can't put them in position to be successful. Sometimes the development just doesn't really happen. So, it really is, you're just throwing darts at that point, and it's really the coaching that needs to take it to the next level, because you have pieces in this class right now that can really be good players for you, but it's going to take time and it's going to take really effective leadership.
Yeah, I'm with you. South Carolina's a good recruiting class. I think people should be happy, but again, it's going to come down to look. Torian Gray has got some really nice pieces. I like Keenan Nelson Jr. back there. How does he fit in? I like Emory Floyd back there. Anthony Rose is a guy that Chris and Wes, Chris Clark, Wes Mitchell from Gamecock Central talked about yesterday, Patrick, seeing him at a camp and his athletic ability and the things he can do, his height, his length, 6'3", 185 pounds. Torian Gray has to coach these guys up. You got to get the most out of them. I think there's a lot of people who would say, look, Torian Gray this past year got the most out of Jalen Foster. Look at the way he developed. I think people would say, look at what he did with Darius Rush. I'm not saying these guys were perfect all the time, but again, there was development there, and that's what part of this class is going to be. We'll be able to really judge this class in a few years, whether it's Marcus Satterfield or whether it's another offensive coordinator, quarterbacks coach who can develop Braden Davis, the 6'5", 200-pound quarterback out of Delaware. So a lot there for South Carolina fans, I think, to be very happy about here on a Thursday morning. But I think you keep everything in check and you say, look, South Carolina's got to coach these guys up. Other news from yesterday, South Carolina related, you had, as we were trying to do our signing day special there from 9 to 12 a.m., you had the news of J.J. Enagbare declaring for the NFL draft. We knew that was coming, but he goes ahead and ends his South Carolina career. He will not be part of that defense for the bowl game. Patrick, maybe one thing that you take away from that. All right, Jordan Burch, it's now your turn. He would talk about another guy, a big-time recruit who maybe has not lived up to that 5-star status, but now he's going to really get his opportunity on that defense to play a lot more snaps to show what he can do. And that's another guy that we talk about, Jimmy Lindsey or Mike Peterson, really needs to coach up and develop there.
Yeah, because it's hard to say. Somebody texted yesterday when we were talking about impact players, and somebody said Burch has not been impactful. Well, he's left his mark on several games, but it's just hard to say. Are we not hearing his name that often because he's not getting snaps? Because Jordan Strawn has been playing really well. I think PFF had Strawn and Enagbare at one point as two of their top 5 pass rushers or pass rush grades in the country. So whether they were getting home or not, they were affecting the quarterback. So when you're playing behind a first-round pick, it's hard to say. And Aaron Sterling's been in the program for a long time, does all the right things. Even going back to Muschamp, they were really high on Aaron Sterling all the time. So, yeah, there wasn't necessarily a spot in the lineup. And if this is his chance, hey, you're going to take nearly every snap on defense, go out there and just wreak havoc. I could really add a lot of confidence to him going into next year. Sometimes players just need to see, like a basketball player needs to see the ball go through the hoop a couple times to build some confidence. If Jordan Burch can just win a couple battles and just get, another thing with a pass rusher, it's a lot of times like running backs, you hear the same thing. You get used to the feel of the game or the speed of the game. Running backs need a couple carries to kind of get dialed in, which is why rotating running backs, a lot of teams don't like to do that. Same with a pass rusher. I mean, you formulate a pass rush plan. You try a couple pass rushes, you see how the offensive lineman's reacting to the way you're attacking him, and you read and react and adjust accordingly. So that's a big part of pass rushing. And if you're only getting a couple pass rush snaps a game and he eliminates your first move and you don't really have a chance to go out there and counter it because you're not on the field, it can really change a lot about the pass rushing plan going into a game. So I think it would be great for him to get essentially every snap and see how he plays a full 60 minutes, going one-on-one every play and seeing how he can kind of adjust throughout the game.
So again, as we talk about a guy like Jordan Burch that'll get an opportunity, we've mentioned obviously the other part, Jason Brown yesterday entering the transfer portal. And some of you have asked, and I don't really have a great answer for this in regards to Jason Brown. 2 things he could have done. One, yeah, he could have stuck it out and played in the bowl game. Patrick, I think both you and I kind of agree. Maybe that's what he should have done. I think if we were giving advice,
Yeah, I would think so.
I would think maybe that's, again, who are we to really give advice, Matt?
And just like, I mean, he clearly really loved it here. So just not having your last game end unknowingly, because he didn't know it was his last game when he played. Play one more game with your guys. I don't know. I just think personally he would enjoy that.
Yeah, Matt had asked, could Jason Brown have played in the bowl game and then entered the transfer portal after? He actually could still have played in the game and be in the transfer portal. I think it was Charleston Southern who had a player in baseball who actually entered the transfer portal and played baseball for Charleston Southern last spring while being in the portal. John Whittle on thebigspur.com has reported South Carolina had soccer players. I would have never known this, but they had soccer players who entered the transfer portal in the middle of the year and finished out the season playing for South Carolina. So Jason Brown, is it a bad look? I think most players, Patrick, players are pretty smart. They know who's coming in.
Mm-hmm.
They know who Spencer Rattler is. They understand the hype. They knew that he was a Heisman guy. I think most people would understand. But, yeah, when you talk about Jason Brown, I guess maybe either we're homers or, whatever you want to call us. But, yeah, I feel like the better idea would have been for him to play the bowl game. I'll also say this. If Jason Brown had played the bowl game and wins that bowl game, and his career South Carolina record is 3-2 with wins over Florida, over Auburn, and over North Carolina, we would discuss him in a very interesting light for the remainder of his life. Like, you just say that. I know it's 3-2 overall. I say what you want about the teams and who they are and what they are, and I get all that. But 10 years from now, if we said, man, we had this guy Jason Brown, and he came, hey, kids, sit around and let me tell you the story of Jason Brown, who showed up one day, and we went 3-2, and those 3 wins were Florida, Auburn, and we beat North Carolina in a bowl game. And that's the legend of Jason Brown. Because you know what those kids are not going to ask? Hey, Dad or Granddad or whomever, what was the record of those 3 teams?
Well, he'd be a great answer to he will be a great answer to a trivia question down the road, because he didn't even play a whole year, and you're not going to find much about him in 10 to 15 years on the roster.
It's just interesting.
Started what? 5 games. This would have been his 5th game.
This would have been, yeah. It would have been. I mean, again,
nearly beat Missouri. I mean,
would have been kind of interesting. So it is what it is. He moves on, and Zeb Nolan now will likely get the start. That's what we're all to assume, and we'll see what Colton Gauthier ends up doing. 803-404-6100. That's how you can weigh in this morning. Up next, Brian Edwards of Vegas Insider will join us. We'll talk about not only the bowl games this weekend, we'll talk about the NFL as well. And one thing that we'll talk more about tomorrow, there is a big basketball game up at Little John Coliseum Saturday night, 8 p.m. South Carolina and Clemson go at it. It's a huge game for South Carolina, a chance to pick up another quality win. We'll get his take on that. Brian, Patrick, I think hit the nail on the head last week. I believe he said South Carolina would have been about a point and a half favorite or underdog, and he sided with South Carolina in a close one, if I remember that correctly. Does that?
I think he's right. I think you're right. Yeah.
I think that's exactly what happened. 803-404-6100. If you want to ask Brian a question, you can send in a message on the Cool Care Heating and Air text line. We'll ask him about a game as well. He can give you his input as well. You're listening to the early game on 107.5 The Game.
This is South Carolina head women's basketball coach Dawn Staley, and you're listening to the home of the Gamecocks, WNKT FM, Eastover, Columbia, 107.5 The Game.
We have hit that time of year. Money can get a little tight because you're doing some Christmas shopping, so a little extra money in your pocket to start 2022. Well, that seems like a fantastic idea. That means it's time to check and see what Benji Getsy and Buford Lending can do for you. Right now, with the interest rates being the way they are and cash out refinancing options very available, you can save money by calling Buford Lending and Benji Getsy today. Don't call Wall Street. call Bay Street. The rates are absolutely better. 843-524-2404. Again, cash out refinancing is dominating the refinancing markets, and there is a lot of customers out there that are taking advantage of increasing property values nationwide. You could be one of those people. You just need to make the phone call and let Benji and Buford Lending earn your business today. Think about that. Someone actually wants to earn your business. They want to tell you how great they can do. Get a free evaluation anytime, day or night. 843-524-2404. There's a lot of lenders out there. Benji and his staff want to earn your business. They want to show you what you can do, what they can do for you, how they can help save you money. So again, don't call Wall Street, call Bay Street. Do it today and find out what Benji and Buford Lending can do, how they can help you save money starting in the month of January. 843-524-2404. Again, that's Benji Getsy and Buford Lending.
And from the Shepherd's Glass Traffic Center, Shepherd's Glass, a true reflection of quality, shepherdsglass.com. No accidents right now, just a disabled vehicle. It's going to be I-26 westbound around mile marker 117.
Sponsored by Mucinex 12 Hour. Did you know that doctors use Mucinex? That's right. Mucinex is the #1 OTC brand doctors trust for themselves and
Oh my goodness. Oh yeah, I gotta plug this.
All right, what we miss? Yeah, my parents are coming from Greenwood, so I was trying to make them not have to drive all the way, save them at least a little bit of time. So I was looking at Lexington. Small agent, yeah. Yeah, I've never been. Very much like to go. Chapin could be a play. T.
Allen, yeah, I think there are more from what I understand, but I don't know who they are. It's just kind of what I've heard is that there may be a few more, but none of them are, from what I understand, like truly impact players.
None of them are opting out to go pro.
Yes, that's true. That's a good point.
Jalen Foster, maybe.
No, I don't think he would. I don't
think he'd opt out. I don't think he'd opt out either. I'm just saying, probably the only other person that might be able to go pro. Well,
yeah.
I think he'll go pro now. He'll get drafted. I mean. All right, Bill. Brian's a 404 area code. Is that right? Make sure I have the right number.
I think you're thinking of Brad.
What?
Yeah, you're right. 404. You're right. You're right.
All right, ready to roll.
Good deal.
Brian said he sent you another pick.
Yeah, I saw it. Yeah, he sent me Indy, I think.
Said the Patriots.
Yeah, or maybe, yeah.
$8:27 on a Thursday morning. Bill Gunner, Patrick Perrette, Jen Jensen out today, should be back tomorrow. But we roll along, and up next, joined by Brian Edwards. He is at Vegas B Edwards on Twitter. You can check him out, VegasInsider.com's senior handicapper. Also, make sure that MajorWager.com is part of your daily reading to keep up with what's going on. And Brian, it's officially bowl season. You got a big bowl party for the weekend, or a ugly sweater Christmas party, or are you just sitting at the house?
To be determined. Might catch some games over at the Red Bar. We'll see.
There you go. Well, let's talk. Let's start. So much for the weekend. It's kind of a crazy weekend. You got bowl games. You got NFL. We're going to get into a little college basketball with you as well, especially a big one here in the Palmetto State, South Carolina and Clemson on Saturday night at 8 p.m. But let's start with the bowl games for the weekend. There's plenty to choose from. Starts tomorrow at noon. Let's go with one in particular, though, that you like on Saturday. Western Kentucky and Appalachian State. You got the Hilltoppers, and you liking the 3 points they're getting.
Yeah, I think the wrong team is favored here, and Tyson Helton, the Western Kentucky head coach, came out on Tuesday and said that star receiver Mitchell Tinsley and two-time All-Conference USA offensive tackle Mason Brooks are going to play on Saturday, despite the fact that they are both entering the portal and transferring elsewhere next year, but they are going to play. All indications are that Bailey Zappi, their star quarterback, will also play. And Western Kentucky, 7-1 straight up, 6-2 against the spread in their last 8 games. The only loss at UTSA was a team that finished 12-1, and all 7 wins have been by margins of 15 or more. And App State's best receiver, Corey Sutton, 61 receptions, 904 yards, 7 touchdowns. He is out. He had season-ending surgery after getting hurt against the Raging Cajuns in the Sun Belt Conference title game. So I think Western Kentucky wins outright. Maybe get a little touch of the money line as well, but obviously more on Western Kentucky plus the 3.
That game is at 11 a.m. on Saturday morning. It is the roofclaim.com Boca Raton Bowl for those of you interested. Western Kentucky plus the 3 against Appalachian State. Let's just get your take on a few others here from Friday and Saturday. A local game for us. I say a local game, an in-state game. It'll be the Tail Greeter Cure Bowl, Northern Illinois at Coastal Carolina. Chanticleer's Grayson Mullins is back. They also get a defender back whose name eludes me at the moment. Jeffrey Gunter, another defender, appears to be out with an ankle injury. But Coastal is laying about 10.5 to 11 here, depending on where you look at. Over under 63.5, 64. Any fades, leans, sides with this particular game?
I don't like to eat chalk on, big chalk like this, double-digit chalk, but I do think it's Coastal or pass. It'll probably be a pass for me, but I haven't gone through and picked all my contest games yet, but I'm probably going to go with Grayson McCall and company when I do pick it, but I'll probably be on the sidelines for that one.
Brian, to the NFL real quick. Obviously, the game of the week is 2-11 versus 2-11. Give me one good reason why I don't bet everything on Jacksonville in a rebound, because I think everyone there hates Urban Meyer and want to play their butts off to prove that he was the problem, and also every Trevor Lawrence player prop.
I was going to play Houston just on principalities that Jags are favored, but now with Oscar Liar getting canned, I probably will not play Houston, and you might be onto something there, Patrick. But I can't play Jacksonville either. Hard pass for me. It was going to be a play on Houston, but you might be onto something there. They may play their best game of the year after getting that clown out of there.
Any just general thoughts on Urban Meyer? Sounds like you're not a fan.
Yeah, I called it the worst hire in NFL coaching history. The worst hire ever. The day it happened, it was a predictable fail. I said that day. And it was all based on him having like a 5-year contract. I forget how much money it was worth. I said, I guarantee he will not make it to year 2, November 1st. He'll quit by then. And I amended that and said he won't make it out of this year after like the second or third preseason game when he was going bananas over preseason L's. He's very predictable, and hopefully he's gone for good.
He's Brian Edwards joining us this morning, senior handicapper at VegasInsider.com. You can also make sure to check out all of his work. MajorWager.com is how you can do that. Bowl games. Let's just get a strategy opinion here from you, because you mentioned Coastal Carolina. They're -10, -11, depending on where you look at. How do you feel on teasers? Like in this situation, you kind of look at Saturday for somebody who maybe looks around, you see some of the bigger lines that are out there. You like Coastal Carolina minus the 10.5. You could take a 3-team 10-point teaser. You could take a 2-team 6-pointer, or just money line parlays. I'll admit there's been a lot more money line parlays that I've been doing of late. Where do you stand when you look at bowl games like this with teasers, or even doing more of a money line parlay?
I do teasers in the NFL. I like to do favorites anywhere between 6 and 8.5 to bump them down to either pick them or to win by a field goal. But that's for, a 6 or a 7-point teaser. Obviously, like you said, Gunner, you can do a 3-team 10-point teaser. I like to do favorites. Like I just said, get it down to a pick 'em, or at least, where it's, if they win by 3, they cover it. I think BYU could be a good tease team, -7 against UAB. If Jake Haener plays for Fresno, I think they could be a good. Now, he went into the portal, was going to follow his coach to Washington, but apparently there was an academic issue where the transfer couldn't go through. So he wasn't at practice for a while, but he's now back with the team. Maybe the new coach doesn't start him, but plays him most of the way. We'll see on that. But if Haener is a go, I think Fresno would be a good tease team. They're right now -11.5 against UTEP. I don't want to say Liberty. I would not get tempted by Liberty. I think Eastern Michigan is the play in that game, +9.5. Looking at some others, I don't want to mess with Utah State. They've been pretty good this year. But yeah, I think BYU and Fresno could be good teams.
Bowl games. I know you didn't really mention any. Do you ever tend to lean one way or the other on over unders, given time off, either rustiness on offense or defense, just not maybe practicing the way they would typically for 2 or 3 weeks? Do you ever have a lean on over unders, just as you generally look at the numbers?
Not a general lean. I would have to dive into each team and how they've played this year. I don't like I don't think, oh, let me just play some overs here. No, I gotta dive deep into the info from how the teams have been doing this year. I normally play a lot of totals. I didn't play very well in totals early in the year, and I haven't done many of them. With totals, I like to get on a team early and kind of have a good read on a certain team and kind of follow whatever they're doing for the year. And I haven't really found a team this year where I, rode their totals and had a lot of success. So I haven't been playing many lately.
Again, he's Brian Edwards joining us this morning, VegasInsider.com, senior handicapper. You can also check out the work at MajorWager.com. Follow him if you're not already on Twitter at VegasBEdwards. Let's move on to the NFL for the weekend. The game you like, let's highlight first your pick for the weekend. You're following the hottest team, I think, in the NFL. I think Patrick's starting to believe they're a Super Bowl. I mean, maybe Patrick, you got the Patriots as the top Super Bowl team.
Well, I
right
think
now?
the most, Brian, you correct me if I'm wrong, I believe the most likely, or maybe just the most bet on Super Bowl matchup is the Bucs Patriots.
Oh, I think we're destined for Bucs Patriots. Yes.
Okay, and you like
happen.
It'll be the most watched Super Bowl ever. It'll be just everything you could ever want.
They'll have to move it to Super Bowl Saturday so that we all have time on Sunday to recover. You like the Patriots this weekend. They are getting points on the road Sunday night in Indianapolis plus 2.5, but you like Mac Jones and the Patriots in this game.
Yeah, the look-ahead line last week from the Westgate Superbook was Pats minus 2.5, and I said last week I love the Pats minus 2.5, so I obviously love them even more at plus 2.5. They've won 7 in a row, both straight up and against the spread. 5 of those wins by 18 points or more. I would take the Patriots as underdogs against anybody unless it was at Green Bay or at Tampa Bay right now. In their current form, I would take the Pats against anybody except Green Bay and Tampa Bay plus points. So give me the Pats.
How much are you keeping an eye on the COVID outbreak in the NFL right now? Ridiculous. I believe I saw over 100 players testing positive. How much do you keep a very close eye on these games up until game time for whichever you might like this weekend?
Yeah, the NFL this week, the only game I've already bet is the Pats. And, you've got to. I mean, we could have players, testing positive. We got plenty of time between now and kickoff on Sunday. So I think you got to be aware of it and, not throw down a bunch right now because, somebody's quarterback, somebody's top running backs, receivers, what have you, could pop. And, man, I think they test too much. They need to not test as much during the playoffs. We can't have key guys missing games during the playoffs. That would really suck.
Yeah. Well, I know that I wanted to ask you about just the NFC playoff picture. There's 2 games that are just gonna have massive implications: the Niners and Falcons, and then Washington and Philly. I'm a Washington fan, and this number's jumped up 5 points up to Philly. I think is a touchdown favorite at this point. I think a lot to do with Washington with COVID tests and then Terry McLaurin being out and stuff. But any thoughts on either of those games or just kind of the NFC bubble teams? Because that bubble's huge right now. I guess on both sides it is. And the Vikings are right there too. They just come down to last position on every game. It's a nightmare to bet on them any week. But any thoughts on those 2 games or the bubble teams right there?
Yeah, it's wild. My Falcons, it's December 5th or 16th, and they have not won a home game all year, but yet they're right there in the thick of it. They're 5-2, both straight up and against the spread in 7 road assignments. If the Niners were to get up to 10, I might think about the Falcons. Right now, it is a pass for me. And as for, I know Washington's going to be missing a lot of guys. And so we'll have to see, where they are personnel wise on Sunday, but I certainly would not be laying 7 with Philly, that would be Washington or pass for me.
Again, he's Brian Edwards joining us this morning as we look at tonight. Real quick, we'll look to some college basketball in just a second, but thoughts tonight should be actually a really fun one. Chiefs and Chargers tonight. Looks like the Chiefs are -3 at LA. Just your thoughts over under 52 and a half, depending on where you look at, but thoughts on the Chiefs and Chargers tonight or anything you might like in that one.
Yeah, I'm leaning Chargers. I haven't played it yet. But I am leaning toward the Chargers. Casey does have the revenge motivation after losing at home to the Chargers earlier this year. Slight lean to the Chargers, but not a big opinion at all.
Let's move to some college basketball. You've sent me, I think this was some college basketball plays. I want to get your opinion real quick because you mentioned the lines will not be out till tomorrow night or early Saturday morning regarding South Carolina Clemson, but the Gamecocks off a 1-point victory last week against Florida State. I think you thought the line would be right around a point or two. I believe Florida State ended up being -7.5, but South Carolina won that game. They'll travel to Clemson on Saturday night, 8 p.m. will be that game. I think it's on the ACC network. And for South Carolina, big game, a chance to pick up another quality resume victory. But your thoughts on the line, what you'd be looking for there, and then what you might like if that line does come to fruition.
I think Clemson will probably be somewhere in the 4 to 5.5, maybe 6 range. And if it's in that 4 to 6 range, it'll probably be a pass. If I could get South Carolina getting 7 or more, I would lean their way. And, you know, if it's below, if it's 3 or fewer, I might lean toward Clemson. It's not a strong opinion. I haven't been able to catch Clemson yet. I'm still in catch-up mode with college hoops. I get a better feel for it, obviously, once I get to see a team play a couple times. But that'll be one I'll be looking to tune into this weekend.
We will catch up more with you next week. I'll text you. We are off Thursday and Friday, so maybe a Wednesday, and we will look at the entire bowl slate and the college football playoff as well and get your opinions there as we go into the holiday season. Hope you have a great weekend. Enjoy whatever plans you've got for Saturday and make some money.
Sounds good, gentlemen. Appreciate you having me. Talk to you guys next week.
Always glad to do it. He is Brian Edwards. Make sure you follow along on Twitter at Vegas. B. Edwards is the way to do that. Again, he's the senior handicapper at VegasInsider.com. And I encourage you to make his website, MajorWager.com, part of your daily reading, especially if you're following some games.
I would have liked to get more into Urban Meyer with him. He had a very strong take, and we just blew through it.
Well, we can do that maybe next. We'll save him a little bit. He's a Florida Gator fan, and so he's got some feelings about Urban's time in Gainesville.
Do Florida fans all hate Urban?
I don't think the way he left that program. He for a guy who brought 2 national championships.
Yeah,
for a guy who brought 2 national championships, I don't see him going back to being honored in. He's not Steve Spurrier. He's not Steve Spurrier.
I don't know. I kind of feel like if you win a national championship for a program, I'm gonna probably like you forever.
I think there was a lot of drama there. That's a great question.
And maybe Florida's different because they've won national championships, but if any coach ever brought a national championship to South Carolina, they're a hero forever, and they could basically do no wrong. Right?
There's people right now who seem pretty upset with Ray Tanner.
Football. For a football national championship, there's almost nothing you wouldn't do, and
I assume so. I assume so, but I think and maybe it was the history and tradition of Florida football, Steve Spurrier prior to Urban Meyer, but man, I don't know. Yeah, Urban, I'm not 100% sure he's even been back to be honored since he was there. And that was more than a decade ago. I believe his last year there was 2009, if I'm thinking correctly. It might have been 10. As I try to do that in my brain very quickly, I think it was 2010 was his last year there. And Patrick, I don't think he's been back to be honored at any point or been welcomed back. He left a pretty bad situation there for Will Muschamp. It was one of the reasons I thought Muschamp might have a chance here is the situation he was left in Gainesville was pretty bad in terms of locker room. We know what was running around outside of the locker room there. Aaron Hernandez and all, but certainly it's a situation where I don't think Florida fans really recognize Urban Meyer as a championship level coach. I guess they're grateful that there was 2 national championships, but I don't think they're really ready to welcome him back with open arms.
Well, I mean, I guess that makes sense, but you still have fond memories.
I
mean,
guess.
Greatest years of your program's history, right?
I saw yesterday, and they were waiting to see, I believe, how it would look. This is according to 24/7 Sports. One of the greatest recruiting classes. I'd have to go back and dig up here, and I'm going to try and do it very quickly, but I'd have to go back and dig up one of the greatest recruiting classes of all times, according to how they keep track of it on 24/7 Sports. I believe was the 2008 recruiting class, I believe is what I'm about to go back and try and look at here. Somehow I ended up on something totally different. But for Florida, and I think that there were people yesterday that were saying the Texas A&M recruiting class, in terms of points, Texas A&M with 321 points there on 24/7 Sports. I'm just using that one at the moment, but I believe people were saying that the total class had a chance to rival that of Florida. So I think they were stating, in terms of how they do the point system, could end up being the best class of all time. I don't how you go about arriving at that. I get that there's some numbers and some algorithms.
I think it's 2007 for Florida.
Was it 07?
Yeah,
Okay.
because 2008 they were 5th nationally.
Okay, all right.
But 2007, it's Aaron Hernandez, Cam Newton, Major Wright. Yeah, there's a lot of names on here.
Bun weighs
Joe
in.
Hayden.
Bun weighs in on the Cool Care Heating and Air text line. Says football natty equals forever love, but Urban is a clown.
See?
Even if he did what he did there, what he did in Florida, it wouldn't matter.
Right.
And Jason asks on the Cool Care Heating and Air text line, how many more recruits are they expecting to have during the original signing day in February? I think there, to my knowledge, Patrick, and I'm doing this off the very quickly off the top of my head, I don't think there are any other. James Pierce signed yesterday. I don't think at the current moment South Carolina is pursuing any other high school athletes. I believe also I should state that as of yesterday, South Carolina, I believe, ended up with 21 signees. DeQuandre Smith is number 22, although Wes Mitchell and Chris Clark indicating that he would actually not sign this year, but would enroll in August and count toward the 2023 class. Now, I think DeQuandre Smith has said that he would sign in February, and if he did that, he would count toward this class. So I guess it's going to be a matter of whether or not South Carolina finds anybody else they want to sign between now and February. But as of now, they only have 2 spots for signees, and as far as I know, there's nobody else that we're really tracking in terms of high school prospects. We'll continue talking about that. We'll wrap up the program when we return to listening to the early game on 107.5 The Game.
107.5 The Game is omnipresent and free of charge. In your car, online, on the app, and streaming on your smart speaker. 107.5 The Game.
If you have been experiencing pain, don't allow it to affect you in 2022. If you've been told surgery is your only option, if you've been dealing with steroids, opioids, addictive medicines, now is the time to call QC Kinetics, 803-281-6860. If you're worried about something going on with your body, all consultations are free with QC Kinetics, and they will help get rid of inflammation. Or if you've been experiencing muscle, ligament, or tissue damage issues, now's the time to call and get that free consultation. Allow QC Kinetics to work with you. Their wide array of natural, biologic, medical treatments will be available. Give them a phone call today, 803-281-6860. Regenerative medicine, biologic, medical treatments, all available for you. It's a new way of doing things. Allow your body to heal itself. Give them a phone call and find out what I am talking about. 803-281-6860. If you've had problems with your knees, with your hips, your fingers, your shoulders, your toes, you're going to combine 2 of those there. Don't continue to experience pain. Don't have limited mobility. Call QC Kinetics today. 803-281-6860. Get your quality of life back for 2022 with the help of the doctors at QC Kinetics. 803-281-6860.
Yeah, Alan, I could have just kept singing that right along. Dylan Wanham is actually got another year of eligibility, and I think he's expected to be back.
All right, so yeah, Carlos Dunlap, the Pouncey brothers, Joe Hayden, Aaron Hernandez, Cam Newton.
That was the 07 class?
Yeah, all NFL Pro Bowlers / all pros. Then the year before that was Percy Harvin, Tim Tebow, Brandon Spikes.
I thought it was the class. What was the class with Ronald Powell and all them?
$2010.
How many points? Where are you looking right now? Rivals or
24/7?
All right, they had 324 points that year.
Their average rating was 94, 9399. Ronald Powell, Dominic Easley, Sharif Floyd, Matt Elam, Josh Shaw. I mean, they had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 stars, 5 top 22 players. Number 1, 4, and 6 nationally. Pretty absurd. All right. About 2 minutes.
Big thank you to Brian Edwards for joining us in that previous segment. Anything you missed, you can always go to the 1075thegame.com website and click on the podcast tab. You can hear Shane Beamer's interview, 101 exclusive interview with Heath Klein yesterday. If you missed that, you can certainly go and listen to it. A lot of good stuff there. Heath Klein also had a really good interview with, what was his name? Plank?
Yeah, I can't remember.
Yeah, neither of us remember. But he's the sideline reporter for Oklahoma. He did that earlier this week, and a lot of good information on Spencer Rattler there. You can go and hear from a guy who personally covered Oklahoma this past season and gives a great bit of detail on Rattler and his personality, and he is a teammate. Appreciate everybody joining along this morning. Patrick, we had plenty to talk about. Maybe tomorrow we'll just talk some Christmas stuff.
I mean, we barely even got to Urban Meyer.
Oh, he's
the last
I don't want him to
segment,
come and kick
basically,
us.
yeah.
Apparently, he's just out there kicking random kickers.
Can do that in college, not the pros.
Yeah,
These guys
that's
have
true.
families. They don't let you kick them.
That's a good point. It's no fun to be warming up and to be kicked while you're stretching. Jen
Crazy
does it.
that was potentially the final straw in Urban Meyer's career.
What a run. 13 games. All right, so are we the first to report? Rumors. Dabo Swinney to Jacksonville, right?
Yeah.
Okay, sounds good to me. We'll
10
stick
years, $100 million.
until we see otherwise. Which could be more. We'll be back. For Patrick Brett, I'm Bill Gunner. You've been listening to the Early Game, 107.5 The Game.
Gamecocks, Braves, the NFL with live local radio. 107.5 The Game, WNKT FM, Eastover, Columbia.
All right.
No one respects the kicker. I agree.
Yeah.
All right, everybody. Have a fantastic day. We will see all of y'all again bright and early in the morning.
We almost